beep, 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 beep.
That didn't sound awful at all.
Are we good now, or can we be heard at all?
Define good.
Define good.
Yeah, I see no difference in
This
those
is
statements.
good right here. Check this out. I'm straight up Fonzie in this chair. What's up? No, wait. Fonzie is like this.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard because this is high up. I can't even do it. There. Help me, Fonzie. Help me,
Okay,
Fonzie.
that's as high as it goes.
No, that's not going to happen.
People are choosing to tune out right now.
Ah, don't do that. You'll miss me getting onto a chair backwards. Maybe. Probably not.
No.
This is the pre-show for the Annie Frey show. We have a great show today.
We do. We
This
have
is
a
the pre-show for the
loaded. Yeah, we're early. We have a loaded show.
Really great show.
Really, really great show.
Do you know who's on it?
Do you have any idea who's on the show today?
Ed Sullivan.
Nope.
I do. Tyrus is on the show today. Hans von Spakovsky.
You know what time?
Steve Scalise.
Yep.
Just to name a few.
Just to name a few, yeah. So Hans is going to be on at 12:25, and then Tyrus will be on at 1:07, and then Steve Scalise is going to join us at 2:07. So at the top of the 2 o'clock hour. So make sure you guys set an appointment for that. You want to come back if you have to go away or whatever. You want to be back for that interview because Ian's going to knock that out of the park. And Steve Scalise is always a great interview.
Download the Odyssey app.
Have you ever talked to Steve Scalise before?
Yep.
That's cool.
Yep.
That's cool.
That's neat.
YouTube live chat poll.
Yep. The YouTube poll is: do you love somebody whose political affiliation you know is opposite of yours? Yes or no?
No, I do not love anyone.
And that's that.
What am I gonna do it to? Am I gonna wait?
Are you gonna talk about the poll?
We just did talk about the poll.
Yeah, Ryan just.
This entire pre-show is about what Ryan Wiggins is doing. What are you gonna do it to? What? Talk about the poll.
The poll, just to clarify, is: do you love somebody whose political affiliation you know is opposite of yours? Yes or not?
Yes or no?
Do you have any thoughts on it?
I have a lot of thoughts on it, and I think the answer is yes. I would guess that the majority of people's answer would be yes.
Carlos says, is that romantic love of friendship or family love? All of the above. Love is love.
Okay, fine. Love is love. I was going to say purely romantic.
You make me go through all the Greek forms of love. This is too much question.
Philos, eros, and agape.
Those are 3.
That's the only 3 that we were taught
Yeah,
in
I know
religion.
there's only. I think there's 5 of them, but I don't understand the. I don't know
Kairos,
Okay.
koinonia.
Yeah, it's not.
Is that rivers and like?
I don't know what Kairos is. Something else. I don't think that's love. Koinonia is some sort of gathering.
Yeah.
Or it's the phonetic pronunciation of quinoa.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hey, are we on the air?
It means
You turned that down all the way. We need to have that up.
We need to know whether we're still broadcasting.
Like, did Fox News hit? Nobody's panicking outside. Usually somebody would have busted through the door
nothing's
here.
happening.
Well, Fox News hit.
Okay, well, let's
There we
just,
go.
yeah.
There we go.
GOP gaining momentum with midterms 19 days away.
That's very, very true.
You know what? I just want to point out, Scooter was the one who questioned you guys and how you were dressing professionally. You think he supports Fetterman?
Yes. Look at Fetterman in a suit.
No, Fetterman was not wearing a suit. He was wearing a hoodie.
Yeah, but he was just there. He was wearing a suit. And a
No,
tie.
no, he wasn't. Fetterman was wearing a hoodie.
Yeah, I've never seen Fetterman wear
Rewind it.
anything.
I don't know how to rewind.
You've
all
never
that.
seen him wear
I've
anything?
never seen him wear anything other than I paused.
It was a key moment.
Other than hoodie. Does he always wear shorts too? Because he always seems to be wearing.
Hoodie. We're both right.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, he's wearing a suit.
He is
Fair.
wearing a suit.
Fair.
That's a tie.
I was talking about the picture of him wearing a hoodie. All right.
Well, he's what, 6'7"?
I concede.
Is he 6'7"? Wow.
But I mean, like, imagine for a second really wanting to come troll a radio show for wearing sweatshirts and being like, Fetterman's the man.
No, I think that's a good point.
What everybody needs to understand is that Ryan Wiggins is just trying to be super relatable and likable.
I'm trying to be Pennsylvania's next senator.
I'd vote for you over Fetterman.
Thank you.
I mean, I would too.
That race is close, man. That race is drifting toward Oz. And I don't think it's because of anything Oz is doing. I think it is entirely about what
I do. Man, he's
Really?
like, he's attacking. He's doing what Republicans don't always do, which is fight back. Like, he's actually actively out there saying the things that everybody's thinking. He's pushing
I'm glad
hard,
to hear that.
and he's everywhere.
I'm hoping that's happening in Pennsylvania because I'm just not hearing much of it. Maybe I'm not looking in the right spots. Does the New Jersey thing resonate with people? Like, does that ever hit where
What
you're
is
like,
the
oh,
New
well, you're not
Jersey
actually
thing?
from this state? That's all Fetterman keeps saying about Oz.
Well, if you want to like track where people live and what they do, people criticize Hawley all the time for not living in Missouri because he has a house in Virginia.
I just don't think that moves the
But
needle.
doesn't he have a house in Virginia because he's a senator?
Anybody would have
Yeah,
a residence
that's
in.
what they do.
Yeah, and people put their roots down because they're there all the time. And if you have a family, you want to keep that family together. You want to create a stable life for your kids and a school life and all that stuff. I mean, it's a choice you make. Oz is from, I guess, New Jersey originally, but
You know, I think we're missing an opportunity that every time we talk about Oz to play All the Yellow Brick Road.
I don't think we're missing that opportunity.
Well,
you can do that on Wiggins America, which is on Saturday from 6 to 8 a.m.
okay, I will. And every time I talk about The Wall, I play
The Wall?
The Wall by Pink Floyd.
Never heard it.
I play obscure tracks.
Have I ever? I'm just shocked.
I don't play the one that everybody knows. What else? What do we want to talk about? What we're going to talk about with Hans?
We're going to talk about Danchenko, and I'm going to talk about the FBI whistleblower stuff, suggesting there's obvious ties. Chuck Grassley has really put forth a lot of information that says that he's got a lot of documents that point that Hunter Biden knows exactly what's going on, or that Joe Biden knows exactly what's going on with Hunter Biden. That's trouble. So we'll see.
Yep.
Where's Hannah? What'd you guys do to her?
She's tied up outside. Tired of it.
Yeah, literally.
Walking around booping people. Just tired of it. Like,
You know
you
what?
sit in that chair.
You know what? She could get away with pooping in public because she could walk around with a little wand and just sort of hit people in the nose with it. You could do that if you're Hannah.
JD says, could I make a request that at some point in time you go through the details of the hourly intro music, theme, or whatever you call it? Should be interesting to know how it was put together.
That would be a Hannah question.
No, that would be a Rachel Zimmerman question. She's the one who made the intro to the show in 2016. Rachel Zimmerman is the producer of The Dave Glover Show, and she was my executive producer for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then The Dave Glover Show needed a new executive producer, and they swiped her up on that. So she put that together, though. But talking about where those pieces were pulled from would be an interesting breakdown. Thanks, JD.
Yay, JD.
You guys ready to get started for the show?
I think we have to be. Bye.
You got 13 seconds. All right. See you on the other side.
And door seals for proper insulation and replace your furnace air filter. Join Odyssey, and together each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow. What's your one thing?
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
I've seen poll after poll, right, that Americans on both sides of the aisle are fearful of where we are as a nation, right? You have Stacey Abrams in Georgia saying It's basically the flip side of what a lot of Republicans are saying. We don't trust our elections anymore. We don't trust the polls. We don't trust these things. If we break down as a country and don't trust elections to be truthful and faithful, then democracy is in trouble.
That's right.
And that's what everybody should be concerned about, whether you're Democrat or Republican.
You're right.
And it shows up on both. It shows up amongst Republicans as well as, Democrats on the left and the right.
I think back to after the 2016 election, when then President Barack Obama, I think it was December, they came out with a report on the Russian interference in the 2016 election. They arrested, I don't know, it was like 17, 18 people or something, or charged 17 or 18 Russians with trying to meddle in the election. They came out and they said they did not effectively do anything to change any votes in the election in 2016. But there were Russians who were trying to use our social media against American citizens to affect the election. At the time, I believe it was the Justice Department that came out and said that their number one goal was to instill an air of distrust in American democracy. That the goal wasn't that the Russians aren't out there. The Russians are not Republicans. The Russians are not Democrats. They are Russians. And that the idea of looking at what the Russians' interest in American elections would not to have this guy win and this guy lose, regardless of the party. What's good for the Russians is for us to create such a distrust in our own system. And boy, they might have succeeded in that. Welcome into the Annie Frey Show. We're happy to be with you here on St. Louis's home for conservative talk on 97.1 FM Talk. And more, that clip that we just listened to there, that was from CNN. CNN has a panelist, David Urban, on talking about how both parties are questioning the election results. We've seen pursuit of election reform in various ways from both parties. We have once again, an agreed upon problem, which is to point at the elections and raise your eyebrows and ask questions from Democrats and from Republicans. And at the same time, we have very, very different solutions on how to manage it. Listen to what Chris Hayes says, though. I heard this last night and I said it to Brad, and I sent it to Brad and I said, Brad, am I hearing this correctly? Did he just say what I thought he said? Listen to Chris Hayes talking about democracy and how we preserve it.
We cannot expect threats to democracy to be the only salient issue for voters, even if it is salient for a lot. I mean, there's millions of voters and people have complicated and busy lives and they've got things they're thinking about when they go to the polls, like the cost of living, inflation, and yes, gas prices, the one price in America that is posted on every street corner, those digits, they are going to be front of mind for voters. And so we find ourselves in a situation where keeping gas prices low is key to preserving and strengthening the future of our democracy. And so here we are. Hence Biden releasing oil from the reserves today. And all this speaks to what the future of our elections will look like, because you can't just count on one thing to preserve American democracy. You can't just count on the voters to vote for it. You can't just count on the courts, and you can't just count on civil society. It's going to require a broad coalition of factors, people being smart and tactically astute, all working together across the spectrum of civil society to preserve the American experiment.
Chris Hayes just says there that you can't just count on the voters to preserve democracy. That was the most wordy explanation of how people who are on the far left have a classic ends justifies the means mentality. What is the problem? We need to preserve democracy. How do we do it? By any means necessary. And if you listen into what he's talking about there, you have to really ask yourself, what does Chris Hayes mean by preserve democracy? Essentially, what Chris Hayes is saying there is that the release of the strategic reserves, 15 million more barrels from the strategic reserves, if that is what needs to be done in order to preserve democracy, it's good that Joe Biden did it. But what he's saying there is that gas prices on every corner are a reminder to the American voter of the direction this economy is heading, are going to have a strong effect on how people choose to go vote. If gas prices go up, and that pushes people to vote in one direction, then by any means necessary, this president should lower gas prices to avert that from happening. Essentially, what Chris Hayes is saying here is that anything that Joe Biden can do, he should do to make sure that people don't vote against him in this election. And when he starts to put together the different pieces there of how one might preserve democracy, you preserve democracy at the ballot box, you preserve democracy in the court system, he's saying that's not enough. How else do we need to do it? It is incredibly key and important to understand, what does Chris Hayes mean by preserve democracy? And you can't understand why he'd be willing to do whatever it is he'd be willing to do to preserve whatever it is that he defines as preserving democracy until you understand exactly what he means there. I don't know exactly what Chris Hayes means, but we have a lot of examples right now that suggest this might be the perfect explanation why we are all standing in front of a burning building and Joe Biden is just like Leslie Nielsen standing in front of us saying, please disperse. There's nothing to see here. And we're like, there's a burning building right behind you. What are you doing? And he's like, everything is okay. Everything is fine. Maybe the burning building is necessary in order to, in their minds, quote, preserve democracy. I want you to listen to this clip one more time. Because if you listen to what he's saying here, it is a long explanation of how the ends always justify the means. If you are watching the means with which the Democratic Party, who is in power in the presidency, in power in the House, in power in the Senate, in power in strong force in some of our biggest, bluest states, and it doesn't make sense to you, that means you don't understand the means with which they are trying to reach an end. When you hear the people like Pete Buttigieg coming on to, the platform and speaking behind a microphone and a camera and saying that a lot of the pain that people are feeling when their energy costs are skyrocketing, and not just your price at the pump. I'm talking about your price on your electric bill, your gas bill, going up, up, up. His response to you is that this is all part of a transition. He knows it's painful for you. He does not care because your pain is part of a transition to reach his end. When you look at the southern border and you don't understand what's going on there, it does not make sense that the commander-in-chief is unwilling to secure a sovereign border in our country. You have to listen to what Chris Hayes says right here and determine that what we are experiencing is achieving an end that they deem more important than the justification of the means to get there. When you look at the idea that the CDC is voting 15-0 to mandate the vaccine as part of what students have to get, the COVID vaccine is part of what students have to get in order to go to school, and you're asking yourself what the heck is going on here, you have to remember that their justification of why they are doing these things is to reach an end that may not be the same as your goal. The only way to explain for people like you and me to understand why there are so many buildings burning and so many Leslie Nielsens in this administration saying, please disperse, there's nothing to see here, is to understand that their goal for this country is not our goal for this country. And Chris Hayes, again, explains it here.
We cannot expect threats to democracy to be the only salient issue for voters, even if it is salient for a lot. I mean, there's millions of voters and people have complicated and busy lives and they've got things they're thinking about when they go to the polls, like the cost of living, inflation, and yes, gas prices, the one price in America that is posted on every street corner, those digits, they are going to be front of mind for voters. And so we find ourselves in a situation where keeping gas prices low is key to preserving and strengthening the future of our democracy. And so here we are. Hence Biden releasing oil from the reserves today. And all this speaks to what the future of our elections will look like, because you can't just count on one thing to preserve American democracy. You can't just count on the voters to vote for it. And you can't just count on the courts, and you can't just count on civil society. It's going to require a broad coalition of factors, people being smart and tactically astute, all working together across the spectrum of civil society to preserve the American experiment.
That is an outrageous statement by Chris Hayes. Every time I hear that statement by Chris Hayes, I get a little more concerned for the future of our country. And folks, I started out as concerned for the future of our country. Listening to Chris Hayes say that you can't just count on one thing to preserve our democracy. The first thing he lists is the voters. Then he says the courts. Then he says you can't just count on civil society. He says they all have to work together. Why is it that he wants to highlight this moment? And the most important thing that happens in that statement from Chris Hayes is the gigantic sigh in the middle of it. It's almost as if he's thinking to himself, all right, I got to put it all out there. Didn't want to have to do this. Been trying not to do this for quite some time. But it's time I level with you. The direction this country is going seems bad right now. But you need to understand that this is a means to an end. And we haven't arrived at that end quite yet, but this is all a very important part of the transition. And if you see that it's not going well for you right now in the United States of America, just understand that if you choose to vote differently, you're going to slow this process down. You're going to slow our pursuit to preserve democracy down. And we're not going to preserve democracy with just the voters. We're not going to preserve democracy in the courts. We're not going to preserve democracy with civil society. It's going to take a cooperation with all of those. And he keeps saying, you aren't going to preserve democracy with the voters. You aren't going to preserve democracy in the courts. You aren't going to preserve democracy in civil society. Think how important it must be for him to be saying this part out loud right now. This is desperation and panic in my eyes. This is the final last clarion call from the Democrats saying, we are going to have to really do an about face and backtrack on a lot of things if we want to regain the ground that we are about to lose, because our policies, the Americans aren't feeling it. The taxpayers, the voters, they're not feeling it right now. They're not feeling how good this could be if we were to reach the end goal here that we have set out for ourselves. Well, maybe that's because your policies for those voters, for those taxpayers, aren't the best policies. Maybe the things that you have put into place when you've had the ability to implement your plan is actually not what's best for the American taxpayer, for the American bill payer, for the American voter. Maybe they've deemed that you no longer are worthy of the position of authority to make these kinds of decisions on behalf of the American people. Maybe a change is needed. Of course, to Chris Hayes and those who follow the like of Chris Hayes, the only alternative to what we have right now is the loss of democracy. I will remind you that the Democrat Party will tell you every single election that unless you vote for the Democrat Party, democracy will be lost. That's fascism. Plain and simple. Only one party can be in charge in order for democracy to prevail. Get your vocabulary books out, kids, in your 5th grade social studies book and start rereading those bold words. I don't think they mean what you think they mean. Let's take a quick break. I want to remind you about our YouTube live chat poll. You can go on the Annie Frey YouTube channel, youtube.com/@AnnieFrey, and vote in today's poll. Do you love somebody whose political affiliation you know is opposite of yours? Yes or no? I would love to know why you vote the way you do, so you can leave us a comment in the live chat. When we come back, let's talk to Hans von Spakovsky about the Danchenko ruling in the Durham trial. Let's talk about the whistleblower that said that Joe Biden does know about Hunter Biden's business dealings, and get to the bottom of all of it. Hans von Spakovsky, the legal expert from Heritage, when we come back. Don't go away.
And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie. 97.1 has you covered on election night. Hosted by Mark Reardon, plus expert takes from 97.1 political insiders throughout the evening. Your home for conservative talk. Decision 2022. Sponsored by Air Comfort Service and TR Hughes Homes.
Speaking of Air Comfort Service and keeping you in your comfort zone, you know that when you flip that furnace on for the first time, most of us have done it. Some of you are just hardcore and haven't quite gotten there yet. You're going to soon, though, I'm sure. That furnace needs to have the tune-up and the maintenance that it deserves in order to keep it from having those costly repairs that sneak up on you on the least opportune times. Ours was a couple Christmases ago while we were sitting at home. It was the Christmas after Molly was born, and we checked the heat to make sure the house would be warm enough when we got home to put Molly in her crib to the bed, and the house was about 50 degrees. The furnace was blowing. It was not warming. We had Air Comfort Service come out on an emergency visit, assess the situation. They told us how they could fix the furnace, and it was going to cost, a pretty penny to get the thing fixed, but it was nearing the end of its life, so they gave us the cost to replace it as well. We chose to replace it because we knew we could trust Air Comfort Service. They did a fantastic job, treated our home, our family, our pet with respects, and we looked forward to having them back anytime we needed HVAC repair once again. Give Air Comfort Service the opportunity to earn your business. Commercial repairs also, you can get a free second opinion on commercial HVAC repairs. Give them a call, 314-513-0091, online at aircomfortservice.com.
The best conversations happen at the kitchen table, so I'm bringing the table to you.
All around our communities, Ann Wagner is meeting with us and hearing our concerns.
Public servants need to listen to you, not the liberal mob. People care about kitchen table issues, like the skyrocketing prices of groceries and gas. And now Biden has you paying for someone else's college loans. Let's stop their madness.
This year, Biden's inflation is costing your home over $10,000. Ann Wagner has seen the harm it's brought to Missouri families firsthand. She knows you work too hard to have your tax dollars wasted by Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi. That's why Ann has a long record of cutting your taxes and fighting the Democrats' out-of-control spending.
I'm Ann Wagner, and I approve this message to give you a seat at the table.
Common sense conservative, Ann Wagner for Congress. Paid for by Ann Wagner for Congress.
Mark Cox here. Prices on just about everything are still rising, but thanks to my friends at CarShield, I don't have to worry about how much it'll cost to fix my car when it breaks down. Their price will never go up, and they help handle everything. That's why I love CarShield. When I locked my keys in my car on vacation, CarShield was there for me because they offer roadside assistance with every protection plan at no extra cost. When my car radio started acting up, I got it replaced because CarShield covers those things under my protection plan. When you need a repair, you don't have to deal with the paperwork or the headaches. You just choose the mechanic to do the work, and CarShield administrators handle the rest. CarShield has my back when my car breaks down. They can have yours too. Get coverage like I did. Go to carshield.com/Cox or call 800-391-8888 to save 10% on your plan. That's carshield.com/Cox.
The federal government is hiring 87,000 new IRS enforcement agents. Make no mistake, with spending out of control, they're looking to collect revenue. The first target will be you. If you have not paid your taxes or filed them in years, let me help you get that target off your back. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm here in St. Louis. So if you have unfiled returns, wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, now's the time to call the Lance Drury Law Firm before the IRS calls you. Your consultation is free, so don't put it off. The Lance Drury Law Firm focuses solely on tax resolution law. It's all we do. And if you have IRS problems, you have legal problems. Let us use our tax law resolution experience to guide you and work on your custom resolution plan. Call now. It's free and confidential. Call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120 or go to LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Will you hold the line when every one of them is giving up and giving in? Tell me, in this house of mine.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @AnnieFrey Show.
Will it save us from a sin, will it? 'Cause this house of mine. stand strong. That's the price you pay. Leave behind your heart and cast away. Just another product of today. Rather be the hunter than the prey. And you're standing on the edge, face up, 'cause you're a natural.
Well, I think we had evidence in one other Hunter Biden situation where the political bias of a special investigator by the name of Timothy Thibault, he opened up an investigation based on fuzzy information about Trump. So they investigated that, and we had evidence of criminality that possible criminality that should have been followed up, and he stopped that investigation. So the fact that there's political bias in that instance and plenty of other instances that we know about, it raises the questions that we have raised in this letter. So my answer to your question is yes.
So Chuck Grassley speaking about information that he knows because he's been investigating the Hunter Biden situation. Remember back when Donald Trump was being impeached for the air quotes perfect phone call with President Zelensky of Ukraine, and there was the implication from a lot of the Democrats in that hearing saying, this is just you trying to work up some bad stuff on a political opponent. Well, that political opponent was Joe Biden. Chuck Grassley in the Senate was referred to regularly as the guy who has some of this information during that time about stuff that Hunter Biden was actually doing. Seems like the pieces might be starting to come together even after an impeachment part two, or I guess that was part two. I was part two. I don't even remember. And listen, this is all part of the same deal. This is the part of Hunter Biden, a story that has been squashed around every corner. And the guy who knows about all of this and can give us some details and help us connect the dots. Let's talk to Hans von Spakovsky.
We the people of the United States.
More perfect.
Pure form of our perfect union.
Heritage legal expert Hans von Spakovsky.
So, Hans, there's a lot of stuff going on that we want to talk to you. We want to get to the Durham trial and the Danchenko not guilty verdict in a minute. But I want to discuss with you Chuck Grassley, the FBI whistleblower, and the connection that Hunter Biden's dealings may have with President Joe Biden, then candidate, or Vice President Joe Biden. Welcome back to the show, Hans. What can you tell us?
Well, I mean, to take the first one that we're talking about, the trial and Danchenko being found not guilty. The testimony in that trial made the FBI look even worse and more incompetent than ever. I mean, the whole reason there was a not guilty verdict was because the FBI agents were so bad at their jobs, they never, ever asked clear questions of Danchenko. And everybody should remember, he's the guy that just simply made up all the stories about Donald Trump and the Steele dossier. They never asked him clear questions, and they never pinned him down when he gave these vague, wishy-washy answers. And that's the reason that he was not found guilty of lying, to the FBI. But that case, even though he was found innocent, it was a bad reflection on the FBI. On the Hunter Biden case, look, all the information that Senator Grassley is getting from whistleblowers inside the FBI, okay? So these are not outsiders accusing the FBI of engaging in partisan activity, really a partisan witch hunt when it comes to Donald Trump, but then refusing to investigate Hunter Biden. I mean, these whistleblowers are saying that they actually have real evidence of real wrongdoing, violations of the law. And there's evidence in there that the president, despite all his claims of knowing nothing about his son's business, was in fact involved in it. And yet all that didn't get investigated. Again, why? Because of partisan decisions made by biased individuals inside the FBI.
So, I mean, we have three separate things going on right now. We have the FBI's investigation I should say we have Durham's investigation into what the FBI did and did not do surrounding the whole Russia collusion assertion with Donald Trump. That's from 2016, and it led through his entire presidency. And then we have the Hunter Biden saga that continues to go on. But the FBI involved in all of these, there is a consistency of of allegations that the FBI is acting incredibly through bias of political lean. Is there, I mean, honestly, everybody who comments on this after you and I talk or whatever, people comment on our live broadcast right now, they're like, nothing is ever going to happen to these people. It's not going to change. Do you believe that to be true?
Well, unfortunately, yeah, that may be true. I mean, at least, for example, the FBI agent, the number 2 in the Washington field office, and in that clip that you played of Senator Grassley, he mentions it, a guy named Tyrus, he's been forced out of the FBI. In fact, not too long after these allegations first came out in a hearing, Chuck Grassley started talking about them. This guy left the FBI. He was escorted out of the building. It's unclear whether he was fired or resigned, but thank goodness he's out of there. Now, does that punish him for the biased law enforcement decisions he was making? No, but at least he's not in the FBI any longer. And frankly, what ought to happen, and hopefully will after the next presidential race, is the head of the FBI needs to be fired, and they need to get somebody in there who is willing to actually go through all of the reports from, for example, the Inspector General of the Justice Department, who just castigated the FBI for its misbehavior in the Trump-Russia collusion hoax, and ensure that all the FBI agents who were involved in that misbehavior are no longer working at the FBI.
I mean, I think Americans on both sides of the aisle, I mean, Hillary Clinton was incredibly critical of James Comey and his decision to bring the emails back up or not bring them up when whatever. She was very critical. There are people on both sides of the aisle who are looking at the FBI saying, you know, what in the world is going on here? And I wonder what percentage of Americans need to see political convictions that benefit, you know, their air quote side in order to feel as though the FBI is back on the straight and narrow. That, of course, would never course correct the situation for a non-biased, blind Justice Department. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, the only way that's going to happen is if you get a new Justice Department. Because the other big problem is you have politically corrupt individuals currently within the Justice Department in the major posts, whether it's the Attorney General, the Associate Attorney General. Everything they've done over the past 2 years shows that they have weaponized the department and are willing to use it to target their political opponents. I mean, all you have to do is look at the flurry of FACE Act prosecutions and arrests that are going on all over the country. And the only way that's going to change, frankly, is with a change of administrations, and one that actually puts unafraid political appointees who are willing to go in and clean up the department, even though they know it will cause the Washington Post and New York Times and everybody else to attack them. And you need people who don't care about that.
No, that's for sure. I can think of at least 2 people like that right now off the top of my head who would not care at all. We're speaking with Hans von Spakovsky. He's a senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation, a DOJ lawyer, and the former FEC commissioner. Hans, when you think about the priorities that this country has right now, the Justice Department being in kind of a political public relations disaster, I see that Durham, he's 0 for 2 in court. And this was pointed out to me yesterday by somebody who is with us frequently in our audience and not agreeable to politics, but always respectful in dissent. 0-2 Durham is in court, and they suggested that Mueller was 8-0. Do you feel like what Durham has done so far, since he's lost twice in court, he's brought these issues to court, he's lost both times, is this fruitless and a waste of taxpayer money?
No, because as I said, the person that's talking to you obviously didn't in detail look at the testimony coming out, for example, in the latest trial. Because like I said, it was embarrassing. And it wasn't Durham that was embarrassing. It was the incompetence of the FBI agents who were involved in the investigation. It was their incompetence that caused him to lose that case. And that couldn't be clearer to any competent lawyer. I don't care what side of the political aisle they're on. If they look at the testimony that came out in that trial, it was the shoddiness of the FBI, which is supposed to be the premier law enforcement agency in the country, is just unbelievable.
Hans, if you think you suggested that the way to fix this is to have someone who's unafraid about what people are going to say about him come in and turn over the Justice Department. How does that work? The president gets to, pick an attorney general and to appoint people to various positions. But constitutionally, how does it work for a new administration to come in and make the impact? Like, what do the voters need to look for in a candidate in the next couple years? What do they need to be saying they're willing to do in order to make that change effectively?
Someone who comes in and says, I am willing to go into departments, federal departments like the FBI and the Justice Department, and I am willing to fire large numbers of employees and staff who have engaged in misbehavior. And not only that, but for example, with the Justice Department, I'm willing to go to the U.S. House and tell them to radically reduce its budget in areas it shouldn't be in so that it will focus on what it ought to be doing, which is criminal prosecutions of real criminals and not the kind of political persecutions as opposed to prosecutions it's currently engaging in.
Well, it would definitely drastically make the impact that I don't know that will be able to happen until the administration can change. But Hans, last question that I have for you, people are suggesting that what Chuck Grassley has, the whistleblowers at the FBI, what they've said so far about the connections that exist, documented connections that exist between Joe Biden and his knowledge of what Hunter Biden was doing economically across the globe. Do you feel from what you've heard that this is all still speculation, or does it seem to you that the evidence is there that could be presented to show, no, Joe knew all along?
I think the evidence is there, and I think whatever Durham does when it comes to making decisions about actual criminal prosecutions, I actually think that just like Mueller, he ought to issue a very big report on what they have found, because there may be many instances where maybe something wasn't a violation of criminal law, but it was a sign of misbehavior and corruption that we should know about. The American public should.
Just a quick follow-up. We had we had a hearing, and a lot of people remember how Mueller came. It didn't perform exactly the way everyone expected him to. Would that, a big report like what you're talking about, would that follow with hearings in the House? And if so, would it likely be a Republican House that potentially would happen after the election, or would that happen before then?
Only Republicans would be interested in talking to Durham and asking him about what he found out about Joe Biden. I mean, you and I and your entire audience knows that. Democrats would simply ignore it.
That's what they've been doing. That's kind of where this all started. Well, Hans, we always appreciate talking to you. Thank you for being here with us today.
Sure, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. He's the author of Our Broken Elections, How the Left Changed the Way You Vote. You can go check that book out right now. Very good precursor to understanding some of the laws that were changed. I mean, in different states across the country before the election happened in 2020, and he's documented it. You can check that book out, Our Broken Elections, with Hans von Spakovsky. Quick break. When we come back, we're going to speak with Ryan Wiggins, and he's going to talk to us about that big issue that everybody's talking about. It's the top of everybody's mind before they go in the ballot box. No, not inflation. Abortion. At least that's what the Democrats seem to think is the winning issue for them. Is it? We'll talk to Ryan Wiggins and Wiggins America about it when we come back. Don't go away.
This week marks 22 years as St. Louis's home for conservative talk. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk. Filtering the BS pushed by the mainstream media.
St. Louis is home for conservative talk.
97.1 FM Talk.
So Gateway ENT, one of the oldest private practice ear, nose, and throat doctors that you can check out. They have a team of wonderful ENTs. So when you reach out to them to make an appointment, if you don't have an ENT right now, or if you need a second opinion on your ENT, you want to make sure that you reach out to them. Here's the phone number to call, 314-843-3828. That's 314-843-3828. You can find them online at gatewaydrs.com. That's gatewaydoctors.com. They care for children. They care for adults. They care for the elderly, of course. And they are the most patient-centric ENT provider that you're going to find in the St. Louis area. They're not connected to any big conglomerate that kind of dictates what they do and when they do it. They're free agents for you, and they work for you, and it shows. People all across St. Louis, some of the highest profile people across St. Louis, make Gateway ENT their destination for any ear, nose, and throat problems that they may have. If you need to utilize an ENT, or if you need to up your service from the ENT, go to the very best that St. Louis has to offer. They're in West County, Sunset Hills, and Festus. 314-843-3828, gatewaydrs.com.
Tune into the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Del, self-made millionaire and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, will show you how to live the life of your dreams and pay for it with passive income.
Listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show this Saturday afternoon from 1 to 2 p.m. on 97.1 FM Talk.
I'm Brian Westbrook with Coalition Life. Over the past decade, Coalition Life has served thousands of women in crisis pregnancies, helping to save the lives of the children that they carry. Help us build a better community while also reducing or completely eliminating your Missouri taxes with a 70% tax credit. A $1,000 donation today to help these women could cost you as little as $141 out of pocket. Learn more at coalitionlife.com, coalitionlife.com. Thank you.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
At all. Any restrictions on abortion at all?
Yes, there should be.
What should they be?
And Roe v. Wade. Read it, man. You'll get educated.
No, I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
Oh, man. Joe Biden is just an angry old man. Anyway, let's do Wiggins America.
Wiggins! Oh! Wiggins! I'm glad you said that at the end of the last segment talking about Wiggins America, because abortion really is the only issue that Democrats are running on right now, right? I mean, there's nothing else that they're...
if you're saying like an actual issue.
Yeah. Yeah. An issue.
Outside of Republican bad.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's no
Scary.
actual issue that they're running on other than abortion. I don't even think that they think that's the smartest move. They just don't have any other options.
Bernie Sanders doesn't.
Bernie Sanders doesn't have any other options? Or
No,
he thinks it's a
no,
bad
he-
idea?
He's very out there with his thoughts on how abortion is a disaster issue for Democrats going into the election.
Interesting.
You haven't heard that?
Well, I've heard about it, but I haven't heard him say it.
Yeah.
He may be seeing the same polling that I'm seeing then, because that's kind of what we're talking about here. You probably think that what I'm going to pull up is which issues voters care about the most. I'm not going to do that. I'm not even going to mention that abortion rights is number 12 on Rasmussen's list. That's not even the point, because that's where you'd think we're going. Here's the thing. Democrats may be messing up by even making it an issue, let alone one that voters are not really that concerned about, but making it an issue at all. If you've heard of Dick Morris and John McLaughlin, these guys, Dick Morris especially, does a lot of interviews. He's been on Newsmax a lot. He's been on our station before. He is a pollster and loves to tout the fact that he does a lot of polling for Trump. I don't think that that's necessarily the top thing he does, but he does do
How
internal.
often do you hear Trump talk about Dick Morris?
Does he?
No.
I didn't think so.
No, but Dick Morris talks about his connection with Trump a lot. I'm just saying.
Yeah, good. I'm glad I'm not alone in hearing that, because I thought he does talk about Trump a lot. So he does. They do internal polling for Trump, or at least the Trump camp is using Dick Morris's polls along with John McLaughlin. He says, and here's why I like his poll, because there is a lot of confusing polling on the issue of abortion. It really depends on the way you ask, what you're asking about, at what point should abortion be illegal, those kind of questions. There's not a lot of conformity to the polling on that. Dick Morris asks a very, very simple question. Are you pro-life or pro-choice? It's a tough one to poll, so I think that's a good way to do it. He says that within the last 6 weeks, the pro-life has gone from 46% of Americans up 5 points to now 51%, as in the majority of Americans are now saying that they're pro-life. That absolutely flies in the face of what Democrats are hoping going into the midterms, is that even if they can make it an issue that voters care about, which apparently they don't that much, that it looks like it's even moving in the wrong direction for them. So if you get down into the polling a little bit, pro-choicers don't want all abortion to be legal. And this is the topic that I think I would like to discuss with you guys a little bit here. The Democrats, in his opinion, and I think there's a lot to be said about this, they have gone from being a party that says we're pro-choice to now, especially since Roe versus Wade, saying we're pro-abortion. And really no restrictions. We want it to be celebrated rather than to be safe, legal, and rare. We want it to be often and available as much as possible, and that looks to be a mistake.
I would agree with that, but I would say it probably goes back farther than just Roe v. Wade being overturned. I think it goes back to even before the leak came out that it was going to be overturned. I think there was a large sect of the Democratic Party that felt that way, that believed that way, but just didn't feel like they needed to say anything about it because, well, why? It's safe. It's protected by law. It's, constitutional or whatever the argument was, which it's not
federal.
It's not in the Constitution. So, yeah, I think that's a problem. But I also think another problem is their extreme views on abortion as far as how long it should be. Most people who say that they're pro-choice aren't pro-choice up to the moment of birth. And now there's been a lot of debates where they have to go out there and defend that stance.
Imagine Stacey Abrams
just asked you. You're running for governor of Georgia. I would assume, maybe incorrectly, but while abortion is an issue, it nowhere reaches the level of interest of voters in terms of the cost of gas, food, bread, milk, things like that. What could you do as governor to alleviate the concerns of Georgia voters about those livability, daily, hourly issues that they're confronted with?
But let's be clear. Having children is why you're worried about your price for gas. It's why you're concerned about how much food costs. For women, this is not a reductive issue. You can't divorce being forced to carry an unwanted pregnancy from the economic realities of having a child. And so it's important for us to have both and conversations.
Instead of lowering gas prices, we should just get rid of our kids.
Jeez. That's incredible.
It's jaw-dropping. Listen. Children are not a burden. They are a blessing. They are worth every hardship that you have to go through to have children. They are worth it. You ask any parent, their child is worth any sort of economic hardship or whatever. The solution to high gas prices is not killing children. That's what she said. It sounds blunt, it sounds harsh, but that is what she said.
In the 2022 midterm election cycle, you are here. This is where we are. Just put a pin in this moment right now where we have to remind people that gas prices are bad, but it's not worth offing your kids for it. There's really no difference in that statement than what Stacey Abrams just said.
There's zero difference in it.
What you just played there is exactly what we were saying, and what Dick Morris is saying, is that they've really turned the corner from being, this is not something we want to happen. This is something that, that's what they would say. If it has to happen, then we want it to be available. That's what they used to say. They're now saying this, according to Stacey Abrams, we acknowledge that those are problems, but really the problem is that you have children. That's terrible and unbelievable. Voters don't agree with it. According to, again, to Dick Morris's poll here, 60% of pro-choice voters, not of the overall electorate, 60% of pro-choice voters say they want a 15-week abortion ban. So they're not saying they want it to be completely illegal, which is why they would be called pro-choice, but they are saying roughly at that 15-week mark, that's where we draw the line. So this is not an issue that is going to play out the way that Democrats think it is, and they are making a huge mistake by focusing on it. More polling from Vox. Now, this is where it really gets weird, is because when you ask the questions right, and this is when you just read a headline here or there that it's saying, this is why you'll see polling that kind of disagrees with some of this Dick Morris stuff that I was pointing out. Vox did a poll. They asked, are you pro-choice? Are you pro-life? Are you neither? Are you both? What? Like, how can you be both? I guess you could say I'm neither because I'm just not, I don't want to wade into the issue at all. But how can you be both? So a lot of this polling that you see is very, very confusing. And the big takeaway that I've gotten from polling is not just that it actually has trended toward pro-life in the last 6 weeks, which actually has mirrored the overall congressional ballot actually pretty well, but that voters simply don't want to engage. They don't like change. That's what we saw in Kansas. It was too much too fast. And I hate to say this because I would love to see us move quickly in the direction of pro-life.
The Kansas vote was very, what?
Yeah.
The Kansas vote was that they didn't want a constitutional amendment to ban abortion.
Yeah, but I think
way
a lot
more
of that...
complicated than that issue.
Exactly.
They didn't actually ask the question on the ballot in a way that really clarified anything. Scooter says Dick Morris isn't the most credible source. What's his source?
This is his own polling. So it's his sourced poll, which is why I'm using it, because it comes straight from the source. It's not talking about anybody talking about other people's polls. It's talking about his own poll. So yeah, you can question his methods, but he's got a decent track record. Track record.
I don't know. I'm not looking to Dick Morris polls personally. I don't know. He didn't he get fired from Fox for being so incredibly wrong?
I don't know.
After the 2016 election, is that?
He actually wrote a book about the 2016 election and did fairly well because he predicted Trump would win.
Yeah, he had some time on his hands, I think. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, let's talk to Tyrus. There is a story about a male playing volleyball who was playing volleyball on the girls' team and spiked a ball, and it caused some problems because it hit a girl in the face. And we're going to talk about that with Tyrus when we come back. What is appropriate? What's not? How do you handle a situation where somebody is going through something that may be different than others? How do you incorporate these different lifestyles, these different walks in one society? Tyrus will answer that for us when we come back on the Annie Frey Show. Vote in today's YouTube live chat poll. Do you love somebody whose political affiliation you know is opposite of yours? Yes or no? On the Annie Frey YouTube live chat. Back in a minute.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Pineview Medical Clinic. Is erectile dysfunction damaging your relationship? Are you sick of the pill and all the side effects? Well, welcome to the future. We have a major medical breakthrough. Pineview Medical Clinic uses the most advanced form of wave therapy. Backed by 60 clinical studies, our technology uses pressure waves to repair and open up blood vessels. We've helped countless men get rid of their ED. But what is the true end result? Their relationship, even their lives, improve drastically. If you're ready to regain your love life, call us right now, and not only will the assessment and ultrasound be free, we'll also give you a gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. It almost never fails. This is worth $550, and it's free to callers right now. 314-530-7777. That's 314-530-7777. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and experience what I call the happiness ripple effect. Call Pineview Medical Clinic now. 314-530-7777.
If you are looking to lose weight and you're thinking the holiday season's right around the corner and you don't want to start now, I want to challenge you on that because I want you to think about weight loss and how when you go to Slim 180, they can help you lose weight fast. You can see success very quickly. It motivates you to stick to it, to stick to the program. And so do the counselors at Slim 180. They have locations around the St. Louis area, Creve Coeur, O'Fallon, St. Charles, and Sunset Hills, to name a few. And you can go online to myslim180.com right now to find out about their different programs. They have an HCG program, a Regenerate program. They have a Crave program and a nutritional guidance methodology that's going to help you walk through the process of losing weight, understanding why you gain the weight, what contributed to your experience of where you are right now so that they can push you into weight loss and a lifestyle that will keep it off. Find all the details you need online at myslim180.com.
Come to Shane Company to see the largest selection of uniquely designed engagement rings and wedding bands. Stunning new styles in every price range. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and shaneco.com.
Join the 97.1 FM Talk Team on Thursday, November 3rd at Rockin' Bruce in Chesterfield, hanging out ahead of the midterms.
We'll chat, enjoy a drink, and listen to live music on the heated patio.
Get all of the details and register at 971talk.com/events.
We are all on this planet together, so join Odyssey and find your one thing. After Halloween this year, don't throw out your jack-o'-lantern. Use it to start composting instead. Pumpkins and other gourds are perfect additions to any compost pile. Also, you can add container soil and roots from potted plants that have withered away. And if you have a garden, be sure to add garden waste from cleaning and pruning, like stems, roots, and leaves. Join Odyssey. And together, each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow. What's your one thing?
KFTK FM Florissant.
Driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group.
97.1 FM Talk.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The president tries to build a bridge to voters. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
In the Hill District of Pittsburgh, we're providing funds to revitalize the area by making sidewalks and streets safer for pedestrians and drivers.
President Biden ticking off a lengthy list of Pennsylvania projects from infrastructure funding as part of his broader pitch to midterm voters that his economic plan is working, countering Republican arguments it's sinking the economy. He's with Senate hopeful John Fetterman, the state's lieutenant governor who's running against Dr. Mehmet Oz. Illegally purchased U.S. components showing up in Russian weapons platforms on the battlefield in Ukraine, leading to an arrest announced by the U.S. Attorney General and his German counterpart.
Attorney General Garland, in his talk with German Minister of Justice Marco Buschmann, heralded the indictment of Russian nationals who sought to use U.S. technology in the Russian aggression in Ukraine.
On Monday of this week, our partners in Germany arrested one of the defendants, Yuri Orkov.
Buschmann said he will work with the U.S. to prevent Russian violence against Ukrainians.
There must be no safe havens for the perpetrators of war crimes.
Garland says the Justice Department will hold people accountable for war crimes. President Biden has openly called Russian President Vladimir Putin a war criminal. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Britain needs a new prime minister again, just 6 weeks after Liz Truss took the helm. She's stepping down, leaving the Conservative Party to pick a replacement.
Some of the ministers saying that their constituents are telling them that they want former Prime Minister Boris Johnson to be the next one to step back into the job, even though he was voted out only a couple months ago.
Fox's Alex Hogan in London. The opposition Labour Party says new elections should be called instead. America is listening to Fox News.
When a cold comes on strong, knock it out with Vicks DayQuil Severe for max strength daytime relief. Just one dose of Vicks DayQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Power through your day with Vicks DayQuil Severe, the daytime non-drowsy, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, 9 to none medicine. Use as directed.
It's a new day because COVID vaccines just got a big update. So all the big stuff coming up this fall, well, now you can say, you bet I'll be there. Because updated COVID vaccines protect against both the original COVID virus and Omicron. And everyone 5 and older can get one. So this is a moment we've all been waiting for.
Find updated COVID vaccines at vaccines.gov. We can do this. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Sunshine remains in control across the St. Louis area as we go through our Thursday afternoon, but it's warmer. It's back to where we should be. 68 for the high. Wild temperature ride this week. That's going to continue. Clear skies tonight, 40 degrees. Friday, even warmer. 78 for the high Friday afternoon. Lots of sunshine. Over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, partly to mostly sunny skies. Upper 70s to near 80. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
You're listening to St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
Overall, inflation was 2% over the last 3 months. That's down from 11% over the prior 3 months. That's progress.
It could be another easy 20%.
Joe Biden's approval rating on inflation, rising costs, as you say, among independents is 21%. Everybody knows which party controls Washington right now.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
97.1 FM Talk.
Almost any business conference that you would go to these days requires you to travel out of state and spend hundreds or thousands of dollars to attend. Well, here's some good news. The St. Louis Business Expo and Business Growth Conference is just like those shows, but it's right here at the St. Charles Convention Center November 1st. If you're a business owner or you're a key employee, gain months worth of valuable connections in just a few hours. And we've brought in leading experts to do seminars on sales, marketing, and social media, and the entire convention is absolutely free. All you have to do is register at stlexpo.com.
Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw, the family business over at the Retirement Advisor Group, they're in the business of providing you with an exhale in one of the most stressful, probably, parts of your life if you are nearing retirement. What's this economy going to do to everything that you've set aside, everything you've saved to provide for your retirement? They can help you with that. They call it a worry-free retirement. That sounds like the whole purpose of retirement. And the people at the Retirement Advisor Group are the best at it. Reach out to them at 314-993-9494, 314-993-9494, to talk to them about how you can set up a free discussion. It goes over what they do. You can tell them what you've worked for, when you want to retire, how long you have left that you want to work. If you wanted to retire yesterday, you can tell them that as well, and get on the path to confidence that that worry-free retirement is attainable. 314-993-9494, 314-993-9494. All the details online, and to make an appointment, go to retirementkey.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon, and 97.1 FM Talk with the St. Louis Odyssey stations will once again partner with you to raise funds for SSM Health Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital. It's all part of the annual Tree of Hope campaign. And with your help and the help of our sponsors, we've raised over $170,000 the past 2 years. If you own a business and would be interested in partnering with us to increase donations for this year's campaign, please sign up at 971talk.com/Cardinal Glennon or text the word HOPE to 20357. That's 20357.
Clement Auto Group is hosting another trunk or treat for the kiddos.
We're inviting all the listeners to bring their kids, the dogs, and trunk or treat with us on Saturday, October 22nd from 1 to 4 p.m.
Music, game, prizes, and most of all,
lots of candy for your kids.
Come out Saturday, October 22nd to Clement Pre-Owned in Florissant.
AMCO presents Bet You Didn't Know.
Bet you didn't know that your car's transmission is made up of 800 pieces. Also, bet you didn't know that AMCO's fixed over 40 million transmissions, and that AMCO offers a nationwide warranty.
AMCO offers easy payment plan options for most any credit situation, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow at AMCO.
That's AMCO, AA-MCO.
Tony LaRussa here. Men, are you running out of stamina rounding third base? If so, call my friends at Victory Men's Health in O'Fallon, Illinois. Scoring at home is important, just as important as crossing the plate with the winning run. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
That is
was exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back, folks, to the Annie Frey Show. A real quick reminder, the Annie Frey YouTube live chat poll today. Do you love somebody whose political affiliation you know is opposite of yours? Yes or no? You go to youtube.com/@AnnieFrey and vote, leave a comment, and tell us why you do or you don't. And we will highlight those at 2:45, so stick around with us. Now we go to our friend Tyrus.
You're becoming like my most stable relationship.
Enough said.
Welcome back to the show, Tyrus. Always good to have you here. We appreciate your time. Tyrus, you there? Let's get him. Oh, there he is.
Always a pleasure.
There you are. There you are. Sorry about that.
Okay.
There was a story on the Post Millennial that I wanted to highlight for you because I really would like to get your thoughts on this. I was a female athlete. I still am a female. I guess I like.
Yeah, I'm about to say, something changed?
No, I mean, you can do that these days, but still here being a girl. And I'm an athlete, but I'm like a 38-year-old athlete. And when you're a 38-year-old athlete, your mind is still the 18-year-old version of yourself, but you've got to remind your body and your head that you're now pushing 40 or whatever. There is a North Carolina female volleyball player that was injured on the floor because a transgender competitor, went up to hit the ball, spiked the ball. It hit her in the face, and it hit off of her face so hard that it bounced back off onto the net. The Post Millennial is reporting that this injury has caused a lot of safety concerns, obviously. According to the Education First Alliance, the Hiawassee student, a biological girl, received severe neck and head injuries as a result of the incident, which has given the player long-term concussion symptoms, including problems with her vision. This is a scenario where girl athletes, like I was when I was in high school, played 4 sports, including volleyball, through my senior year. That was really important to me. I knew that it wasn't important to the world to take in girl sports. I got that. I understood that. But it was important to me, and it was formative for me. It seems to me like if I'm going to send my daughter, who's 18, on the floor to be on the opposite end of a court where a biological male who believes and has transitioned to be a female, like that part, whatever, you do you. What is a parent to do in this day and age when confronted in that situation where their daughter is now on the other side of that court?
Listen, I'm with you in the sense that I believe that anybody can be whatever they want to be. But why do we have to participate in your fantasy or your identity? You know what I'm saying? Like, just because you want to be a certain way and people in your circle and know you, friends and relatives, they can accept it. But it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody around you has to. And it was only a matter of time before this was going to happen. There is a reason there's a separation in sports. There's a reason there's a WNBA and NBA. There's a reason why there's professional men's soccer, professional women's soccer. You cannot dispute it. Science is facts. You can't. Men are just physically more gifted. So we don't get to have babies, but we get to be stronger and more aggressive. That's what males are. Not just humans, animals, bears, chipmunks, whatever you want to call it. Same rules apply.
Yeah.
With mammals.
Yeah.
So, again, while I respect her right to identify with whatever she wants to be, in the real world in sports, is discrimination for a reason to protect women athletes because they can't physically compete with men. And we're seeing a spike from a in-shape, strong biological male in their prime. This is what's going to happen. So in a way,
yeah,
and this is where the education has to stop being woke, start being higher education. While we appreciate your transition, due to your biological makeup, you're going to have to participate in male sports, period. But you can still be celebrated as a woman off the court. So I don't really see the issue here. It should never have gotten to this point.
Yeah, it just seems to me it's so obvious. Everybody can kind of see it, and we live in a culture right now. I feel like maybe we've stuck one toe out of this culture. We're starting to move away from it, but it's so obvious. Everybody understands that this is an unequal situation that actually puts somebody or people in danger. The only way it's going to stop is if people say, a lot of what you just said there is, I respect your decision to live your life the way you want to live, but you can't expect everybody else to sacrifice everything, including their own personal safety, in order to accommodate that. I mean, in an American society, we're independent, we're free, we're supposed to enjoy our liberty, our ability to choose, the direction that we want our outcomes to be. But we've never really been a society where we've forced everybody else to accommodate those things that we want for ourselves. Except for right now, the woke culture kind of has us in that direction.
Well, now her athletic career is over. She's scarred for life. If she would have gotten hurt in the competition, if she would have ran and got injured playing other women in sports, you accept that. I think you can live. I think we all live that. You tear an ACL, it's the nature of the beast. But this is different. It's like a strike. She's basically struck in the face by a male, and that's what happens. There's a reason why domestic violence is so one-sided. It's just you wouldn't say, well, the person who beat you up identifies as a woman, so no charges are pressed. It's just there needs to be. It's respectful. It's the same thing with these pronoun situations. You want to be different, whatever your reasons are, but I don't have to participate if I don't want to, and that doesn't have to be disrespectful.
Yeah.
Like when I was a kid, I used to like to spend my free time, pretending to be a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And I would identify as a Tyrannosaurus Rex every time I went outside in the pool. I chased other kids, and then when I got home and it was time to do my chores, I told my mom, Tyrannosaurus Rex has small arms that can't sweep the floor. She did not participate. She did not participate.
She stole your dreams.
In my reality. She was the reality. She says, you pause the monster and do your damn chores. So, but the point is this. You got to look at the parents a lot of times. If your child is exhibiting these behaviors, you have to be the reality. This is not, you can do whatever you want to be, but in the real world, they're not going to see you that way. This is how they're going to see you. And you need to understand that. Instead of pushing the issue to where then now everyone else has the problem, instead of the individual.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And that's the real issue.
Tyrus with us right now.
My mom was my reality.
Yeah.
She wouldn't allow me to be a T-Rex. Now, if she was the type of parent we had now, I'd be at school, and everybody in my classroom I could say owes me reparations because they're all responsible for my extinction.
Tyrus is a co-host of Tyrus and Tim podcast. You see him on Gutfeld as a Fox News contributor as well, and author of the book Just Tyrus, a memoir. You can check that out. We had a conversation yesterday about the moment between Joe Biden and that young girl who was super uncomfortable. We all pretty quickly agreed, why is he doing that? It's bizarre. It's weird. I don't really want to talk about his involvement in that as much as his advice to this young girl, to say to this young girl, no serious men until you're 30. And I said I thought that was terrible advice because you could very well, I met my husband, who I am happy to still be with, when I was 19, and we're happily married 15 years later. And I don't think that we should have not been serious till we're 30. But I also think that it takes away the responsibility of parents to raise young, respectful men, regardless of what's going on in your biology, in your brain, when you're a teenager. It's like, this is just how men are, and you're going to have to accept that men are this way until they're 30. It really removes that responsibility for men to be accountable, to be respectful gentlemen, and to suggest that they are valuable and worthy human beings when they're 20. I was curious what you think about the rearing of young men in America today.
Well, first of all, it was completely inappropriate to give that type of advice to a child you don't know and a family you don't know. You wouldn't say that to a stranger. If I met your children when I did, and my first thing I said to one of your daughters was, no dating till you this, you would be like, wow, Tyrus, what the hell? What were you thinking about my daughter in terms of dating? She's a child. So that's number one. And number two, the way the system works when I was growing up is we acted fools, and then a good girl comes along and you have to act right. You had to do things. You had to get a job. You had to come with roses. You had to ask your dad out for a date. So there was things that young men had to do to get a date. You had to earn it. And there was a certain respect in that. And there was a certain pride in that. Like, I just got my car cleaned. I got my stuff together. I got my first paycheck, my work. I'm going to take my girl on a date. It was like a reward system for doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
So when I hear someone tell a little girl, no serious dating, she wanted just to run around a bunch of flings until she's 30, like, again, inappropriate. Not your place. It's the parents' place. You don't know what, like, in my household, my daughters can't date till they're 24. Because that's the way I look at it. And you have to finish school focusing on your stuff. My son's 21 because boys are a little bit different.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is in my household. Now, if my neighbor chooses a different route, I have no business telling them how to raise their children. But that's what works for me. But if someone told me what my daughter needed to do dating-wise, they'd still be looking for his teeth.
Yep, I completely understand that. I just think that we have such low expectations. Our society has put a lot of low expectations on people, and on young people, and that idea of being responsible and prioritizing and having to earn something. The suggestion that you shouldn't be around any serious men until you're 30 is just a really, I mean, all the situation that led up to it and him possessing that young girl and whispering in her ear and all that stuff, all of that stuff set aside, the advice was even bad advice.
But let's be honest. What has he been right on lately? Are we surprised? Are we shocked?
Yeah, he's kind of batting 1,000.
You know what I'm saying? So, but the other thing is, too, you don't put your hands on a child who's not making eye contact with you, number one. And it's just that you just don't talk to people you don't know like that.
Yeah.
And that just goes to that. And that makes you think about his mental awareness. His filter's clearly gone. And that has a lot to do with his age. So, and again, there's all kinds of different ages. You can be a 90-year-old who's still got everything together, and I'm just not seeing those things for me.
Yeah. Tyrus, thank you for your time.
I'm not proud to say that.
Yeah, it's not something to celebrate. It's just something that if you don't call out, then it's
I want our president to be the best. I want our president to do well. You know what I'm saying? My party didn't win, but it doesn't mean he's still not my president. And it's just extremely frustrating to see these type of behaviors not checked or even giving us a decent explanation for it.
Yep, I agree. Tyrus, thank you for your time today. We appreciate you as always.
Always a pleasure.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Tyrus, co-host of the Tyrus and Tim podcast. Have you checked that out yet? Go subscribe to it. You can also see him on Gutfeld and check out his book, Just Tyrus, a Memoir. Let's take a quick break. A reminder, at 2 o'clock, we are going to be speaking with Congressman Steve Scalise. I'm excited to talk to him about how Missouri and Illinois are going to fit into the need for the Republicans to, in a really strong, convicting way, take the House when the midterms get here. And do the Republicans have what it takes to make the case to the American people? Do they have substance behind the push to get more Republicans in office? Or is it just Democrats bad because that policy sucks? They need to have a little bit more than that. We'll see what Steve Scalise says about it at about 2:07. So stick around for that. More Annie Frey Show right around the corner. Don't go away.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show. Second Amendment Radio is a staple of solid firearm information on 97.1 every weekend. Saturday from 3 to 4 and Sunday from noon to 1. It's Second Amendment Radio and the great outdoors. 97.1 FM Talk.
The St. Charles pro-life event, it's coming up October 27th. Have you gotten your tickets yet? This is going to be a really exciting one because Abby Johnson is coming to be the keynote speaker. You can get your tickets right now at adsforlife.org. What happens at one of these events? Well, we have a great dinner. We spend time together. We talk about how Vitae Foundation is effectively helping women really all across the country, but certainly right here in St. Charles, in the St. Louis area, help abortion-determined women, provide them with the real honest information about what they're experiencing in their pregnancy. Find out exactly what's going on, and they know what the choice that they make, what that truly means, and give them the support that they need if they choose to have that baby, whether it's through the pregnancy or beyond the pregnancy. Vitae Foundation is there for all of it, and the funds that they raise help these women on a very tangible basis. You can participate in a wonderful evening at a fundraiser at the St. Charles Annual Pro-Life event, October 27th. I will be hosting the event, and Abby Johnson will be there speaking at it. Would you join us? I would love to see you. adsforlife.org.
Congress has authorized trillions in new spending, along with doubling the size of the IRS agency in just the last few months. Do you think that is by accident? No, it is with a purpose, to go after small businesses, employees, and individuals who have not filed or paid their taxes. If this is you, don't panic, just call. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm in St. Louis. Interest and penalties on your tax bill won't stop until you take control. Call me, Lance Drury. I'll tell you in advance an affordable fee, which includes costs and expenses that works for your business and family. Your first visit to the Lance Drury Law Firm is free and confidential, so you have nothing to lose. Call me today. Remember, if you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. You need an attorney. You need us, the Lance Drury Law Firm. Call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120, or go to Lance, DRURYlaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Attention! Did you or a loved one live at or near Marine Base Camp Lejeune in North Carolina between 1953 and 1987? If so, listen closely for this important legal announcement. From 1953 to 1987, Marines and their family members at Camp Lejeune drank water that was contaminated with hazardous toxins. The toxins found in the water at Camp Lejeune may cause health issues, especially later in life. Types of health issues associated with water at Camp Lejeune are numerous. If you or a loved one lived near Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation without going to court. Even if you were turned down in the past, a new law can allow you to file a claim today. If you or a loved one spent time near Camp Lejeune, call the Negligence Network to find out if you're eligible for financial compensation. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call 1-800-600-5536. That's 1-800-600-5536. 1-800-600-5536.
Stop everything you're doing right now and ask yourself, are you currently receiving steady paychecks? What about when you're retired? Will you receive a monthly check to cover your expenses and also have some fun? Marvin Mitchell and the team at Compass Retirement Solutions calls this mailbox money. It's a monthly check you'll receive throughout retirement. They don't want you to worry about if the money will show up or how much money you'll receive. The only thing they want you to think about is how to spend it when it arrives. Find out how to get enough money in your mailbox every month when you're retired. Call Marvin Mitchell and the Compass Retirement Solutions team at 314-373-1598 to start working on a plan that can help you create the monthly income you'll need in retirement. Call 314-373-1598 right now and schedule a visit with Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Governor J.B. Pritzker should offer a masterclass on how to abuse executive authority. He just extended the COVID emergency in his state through November 12th, after the election, of course. Now, this means that when the latest order ends, Pritzker will have held emergency powers for 975 of his 1,398 days in office, or 70% of his term. And while he did drop some testing requirements, he also expanded the state's mask recommendations to include everyone, if you can't socially distance, regardless of vaccination status. Well, it used to be a recommendation for only the unvaccinated, no longer.
At least Laura Ingraham is covering this. I was really excited to see that she was touching on this issue.
Yeah, somebody has to say something.
And then she says it, and I get mad.
Well,
it's not at her.
No, but you're justified in being mad at that. Like, what are we even doing? Why does he need the emergency powers?
Because he's power hungry.
That's the only thing that I can come up with, because the other states that have released these orders, that have let go of the emergency powers, that have let them sunset or whatever you want to say, have actively canceled them in some cases.
He's like, no, signing emergency orders under the umbrella of COVID.
And that would be a mask requirement, not a mask recommendation. If the Illinois
Tom DeVore?
No, was it Tom DeVore? It was the lawsuit, but then there was a board that he has to get approval through that said, no, you can't. Or that was for kids, though, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, Tom DeVore and Darren Bailey together before Darren Bailey was even running for governor, said, we're going to sue you because you can't force mask wearing on people. And you can't force these types of mitigations on businesses. You're crippling them. Took them to court and did very well. Here's more from the Ingram segment.
Now, Pritzker's power grab came up in last night's debate with Republican challenger Darren Bailey.
Right now, it's looking like your emergency orders are going to last longer than the Afghan war. And, Governor, you're looking embarrassing, and you're making Illinois look embarrassing.
I watched this entire exchange. Pritzker seemed kind of hangry. He had no real facts, no real argument, only wild claims and the usual fear-mongering.
It was Darren Bailey when we had no vaccinations available. They were telling people in LaSalle County and all across the state not to wear masks.
Governor,
if Darren Bailey had been governor of the state during the worst parts of COVID, tens of thousands more people would have died.
Isn't that what Anthony Fauci told people not to do? Don't bother with masks? Well, if JB really cared about saving lives, he would have urged people to get healthy.
There's a lot there to unpack. Some of it I'm just going to leave for your imagination to unpack. Oh, man. I'm trying to come up with new ways to say this. Why is it okay for J.B. Pritzker to have his greasy fingers gripped so tightly on the state of Illinois and the way you live your life? Why in the world would anybody want to roll the dice on 4 more years of J.B. Pritzker? What are you afraid of if J.B. Pritzker doesn't get elected? What has this man done for the state of Illinois that makes you feel like we're a stronger, better Illinois? He's ignored every problem that we have, a disastrous pension crisis that is plaguing the state. And the reason why it may not be a highlighted issue right now is because COVID stayed a thing for so long that federal tax dollars, Missouri, thank you in kind for shoveling some of your hard-earned dollars into the federal government so it could get dumped into Illinois, and we could pretend for a little bit longer while we whistle past the graveyard that the problems don't exist. They're going to be there unless, God forbid, there's another pandemic that gives these big government jerks, man, I almost said a bad word, give big government jerks the opportunity to shut everything down again so that they can go back into your pocket and shovel it over the problems that have existed for so long. It's like filling the potholes around a busted up, broken up infrastructure around your city. Filling them with gravel and saying, well, we solved the problem there. That doesn't solve the problem. It prolongs the problem. And J.B. Pritzker has never seen a dollar that he doesn't want to have control over, yours included. Amendment 1 in the state of Illinois is billed as a workers' rights amendment. The amount of property tax increase that Illinois taxpayers are going to see if it passes, if people vote yes, the amount of tax dollars that Illinois taxpayers are going to have to pay to accommodate what could be limitless, near limitless negotiating rights, that there's nobody who's on your side of the issue who's going to be able to push back on those. This amendment is a disaster for the state of Illinois. Amendment 1 has to be a no vote. 2 years ago, the progressive income tax was put on the ballot, and Illinoisans resoundingly said, no, we're not doing this. Stop it. Fix the problems. You can't always come to us. You're bankrupting us. You've bankrupted the state, and you're bankrupting us. Now I have to decide if my family can continue to exist in the state of Illinois because you've ruined it so much. Decades of Democrat control, taking money from pension funds and not putting it back, Republicans getting in charge in the governorship for a hot second there, and not fixing the problem because they weren't able to work across the aisle to actually effectively fix anything. People who are on the worker side of the workers' rights, and I'm talking about people who are in unions, you are taxpayers too. You understand this. You know that every time that the government decides in the state of Illinois to expand the power of the government, that it has to come from your pocket. They sell it to you like you're either pro-worker or you're anti-worker. Well, listen, I'm married to a state-paid official. I'm married to a public school teacher. I'm married to somebody. Half of our income, our paycheck, comes from the public education system. I get it. You want to talk about lobbying benefits for the teachers union? You want to talk about strengthening the teachers union? I want a teachers union that actually provides the best education for the students that the teachers are to educate, not at the expense of the teachers. Right now, the pimps of the state of Illinois are the teachers unions, and they're prostituting out their teachers so that they can keep the unions' pockets lined with gold, and then they hand off that power in an election season over to the politicians. They line the banking accounts, the checking accounts of these Democrat legislators and officials and governor candidates in order to make sure that they get the right people elected so that the teachers unions thrive. The teachers aren't thriving under this. The students and education isn't thriving under this. You know what always takes care of itself in an Illinois election? Government. Every single time. That's why the state is so blue. That's why they want Amendment 1 to pass. That's why the big fat cats in Illinois government want you to vote yes on Amendment 1, because it takes care of government. The unions get to take care of the government. The unions in the state of Illinois aren't even beholden to the people who pay the dues into those unions because they have the politicians to lean on. They don't even need to have the people they represent, aside from the fact that if they didn't have anybody to represent, they wouldn't have a place to lobby. They are in it for themselves. They are in it for their own preservation, and it shows. You know how? Because you might know a teacher in Illinois. You might know a worker in Illinois. You might know a police officer in the state of Illinois who realizes that the state is going to hell in a handbasket, and that handbasket is carried by J.B. Pritzker. He is a disaster for the state of Illinois. And people want to look at Darren Bailey. Democrats want to look and run ad after ad after ad on Darren Bailey, gasping and clutching their elitist high-end pearls and saying, oh, how dare you suggest anything other than what we have done for this state is incredibly wonderful. That the policies of the Republican Party, they don't even talk about policies. You know what they say? They say, look at the ads you see on your social media. People running as Republicans in the state of Illinois, all the stuff that they try to get into your feed, the lies that they try to get into your feed, like LaToya Greenwood, the Democrat state rep right across the river from East St. Louis, who's being challenged by a Republican chiropractor, Kevin Schmidt, who said, I'm sick of this. I'd like to stand up and stand in the gap here for actual people in this state who want to actually have some representation and maybe even know who their representative is in state government. She's running ads up against Kevin Schmidt, condemning him for voting against senior health care. He's a chiropractor. He's providing health care to seniors. What's LaToya Greenwood doing? Not a damn thing for her district. But they can put these lies out on a Facebook ad, and it's just out there, and it just hits the people who they pay to target with messages that they only need you to care about until Election Day. J.B. Pritzker just wants you to think that every Republican candidate out there that's running is extreme and that all they care about is monitoring the pregnancies of women all across the state. And J.B. Pritzker's solution to the problem is it doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't even matter how old you are. We'll kill your baby. You come to Illinois and we got you. We got you covered. We won't even tell your parents. What a creepy policy that is. It is the policy of J.B. Pritzker. It is the policy of the extreme Democrats in the state of Illinois. There are Democrats in the state of Missouri who are elected Democrats in the state of Missouri who are not anywhere near touching how close extreme the mainstream part of Illinois Democrats are. They are extreme. Their only pushback against the Republicans that they think is sufficient enough is that it doesn't matter what you think right now. I know it might be hard. Your taxes might be high, but look at how scary it would be if the Republicans got in control. Do you know how frightening it would be to be in the state of Illinois? It'd be new, that's for darn sure. It'd be a new experience for an Illinois taxpayer to be able to have somebody in Springfield that actually cared about their taxpayer dollar, that had to come out of their pocket, off of their kitchen table, out of the budget for the diapers for the baby's bottom or for the electric bill that is through the roof. Do you know that in the state of Illinois, that some of the mandates that they've put out, the green energy mandates that they put out have already started brownouts in some of the energy provider companies, but they've had conversations that have been able to mitigate some of the energy dispersion that exists in the state of Illinois, so it hasn't really affected anybody yet. This is already happening. And the laws that we have passed in the state of Illinois to require electrical car hookups in every garage once new homes get built, the grid can't even sustain the idea that there'd be cars being plugged in all of these houses in the future. We don't have the capacity to do it, but yet we are mandating that this is how we build in the future. We are so drunk in the state of Illinois on Democrat ignorance that we can't even see that if we were just to give the Republicans a chance, give them 2 years, give them 4 years, I'll give them 2 weeks, and you're going to feel a difference in the state of Illinois. And for everybody else who's listening out there who doesn't understand what Illinois' place is in your Missouri heart or your Missouri politics, what they do here, they want to do across the country. They put things in Illinois, they put policies in Illinois that they haven't done or haven't as effectively snuck through the legislatures, because in California and New York, everybody's looking, everybody's watching. It's California and New York. Do it in Illinois. They won't even see it's coming. Thank you to Laura Ingraham for covering that issue. Thank you to Laura Ingraham for proving and showing in her show how hypocritical J.B. Pritzker is and how disastrous his governorship in the state of Illinois has been. Make a change, folks. Get on social media and make a video of yourself talking about why you're going to support who you're going to support. Do it in a compassionate way. Talk about why you're supporting somebody, not why you are against somebody. Do whatever you need to do to be effective, but this cannot stand. If Darren Bailey wins the governorship in the state of Illinois, that means that the red wave has hit as high as it possibly could hit. But right now, you still have hope. Right now, you still have the possibility. And right now, you still have weeks in front of you to make a difference, to get people out to vote, to pick them up to go vote, to take them into the polling place so they can vote early, they can vote now. Be heard and make sure that the people in your life who you care about know how you feel, with respect, understanding that maybe you don't see eye to eye on every issue, but there are some key issues that you might this time around. Work to be as effective as you possibly can. There's a lot at stake. Let's take a quick break. A reminder, at 2:05, we're going to be speaking with Congressman Steve Scalise on the national scale. What is the 2022 midterm shaping up to look like for the Republicans in the House of Representatives? And what's that commitment to America going to deliver for the American people? We'll talk to Steve Scalise about that when we come back. Your vote in the YouTube live chat poll. Do you love somebody whose political affiliation you know is opposite of yours? Yes or no? Back in a minute.
I was thinking about her, thinking about me, thinking about us. What we gonna do?
This is The Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show. The Mark Reardon Show.
On the next Mark Reardon Show, is the red wave going to be a red tsunami? 97.1 FM Talk political insider, former RNC spokesman Doug High joins me.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
Glad to be able to share a way that you can save money right now. If you're looking for a luxury car, man, most dealerships at this point, the inventory is low enough that they're going to see you coming from a mile away and go, let's see how much we can get out of this person. But they never have done that, and they never will do that at Genesis of St. Charles. They are a luxury dealership that is doing it right now, which is uncommon in this market. And at this point, it is their amazing Fall for All event. So great time to go check out a Genesis. If you've never driven one, they have the most available inventory. So great place to start right there by just driving one. See how much you like it. See how much luxury you're getting in a luxury car there at Genesis of St. Charles, because you may not be familiar with the brand, and you will like what you're driving when you drive one. I got the chance to do that, and man, it's amazing. Never over MSRP once again, and that's because it's a Genesis, and it's Genesis of St. Charles. They're located in the St. Charles Hyundai showroom, part of the St. Charles Automotive Campus, online at genesisofstcharles.com.
This is a great time of the year to upgrade the energy efficiency in your home with my friends at Window World. Mark Cox here to tell you more about my experience with Window World. They replaced a couple of windows at my house. They were just panes of glass. We wanted to be able to get some airflow into the master bathroom. They came out, they gave us a free estimate, and then had the windows at seams installed in no time. Very professional, lifetime warranty I get, and you get an extra double strength glass on their replacement windows that's not common. So you're getting a great price, simply the best for less. They do front entry doors, rear entry doors if you're looking to replace that back door or sliding glass door in your home. They've got a great selection at Window World. They're also right now offering 18 months, same as cash financing, of course, with approved credit. The preferred window of the St. Louis Blues, 314-993-1800. WindowWorld.com. Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group at 314-993-9494. He'll show you how to participate in the market gains without ever losing a penny. Thomas is the official financial advisor of the Mark Cox Morning Show.
Single-family houses and apartments are the key to passive income, a.k.a. retirement. No one knows this better than America's most successful investor, educator, self-made multimillionaire, and CEO of Lifestyles Unlimited, Del Walmsley. Meet Dell's team live in St. Louis. 2 days only, Saturday and Sunday, November 5th and 6th. To attend, register now at GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. That's GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Limited seating, unlimited potential. Register today at GiveMeTotalFreedom.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for their Honor Flight today at gslhonorflight.org, and for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Celebrating 22 years as St. Louis's home for conservative talk. 97.1 FM Talk. Thanks for being a part of it.
Stop me on the corner, swear you hit me like a vision. I wasn't expecting, but who am I to tell fate where it's supposed to go with it? Don't you blink, you might miss it. See, we got a right to just love it or leave it. You find it and keep it, cause it ain't every day you get the chance to say, oh, this is how it starts. Lightning strikes the heart.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Gosh, I don't know, like, the Liz Truss, who was the prime minister, here she's resigning.
I recognise, though, given the situation, I cannot deliver the mandate on which I was elected by the Conservative Party. I have therefore spoken to His Majesty the King to notify him that I am resigning as leader of the Conservative Party.
I don't really know what's going on here. I mean, Liz Truss's first day in office was when she met the Queen, or was when she met the Queen, And then the queen died.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 minutes later, she's like, I'm out. Fox News says UK Prime Minister Liz Truss, which to me doesn't even sound like a name. It sounds like a thing. Liz Truss.
It's a Liz Truss.
Yes.
It's used to hold up the ceiling.
Yes. Or not. Resigned Thursday after less than 2 months in office amid pressure following a reversal of economic policies that led to economic instability. Truss made the announcement a day after she defiantly declared that she, quote, is a fighter and not a quitter. Ultimately, however, she had said that circumstances have changed. She said that one day ago. She was not a quitter. Quote, given the situation, I cannot deliver the mandate on which I was elected by the Conservative Party. I have therefore spoken to His Majesty the King to notify him that I am resigning as leader of the Conservative Party. As you just heard her saying there, Truss said that a leadership election will take place, quote, within the next week, and that she will stay on as prime minister, quote, until a successor has been chosen. I don't really know what this all means for the United Kingdom. I don't really need to know what this all means for the United Kingdom. But it's good to see that we're not the only people with a lot of political problems and a lot of political drama.
Man, I follow a couple Canadian people on Twitter, and they're conservative Canadians, and they have a lot of problems up there, too, as far as infighting, backfighting. The whole parliamentary system is just, that's what we would end up with, according to our Constitution. That's how our government would go if we went with a multi-party system and didn't amend the Constitution. It would be parliamentary, and the people wouldn't choose the president. The Congress would choose the president. So basically, you would vote for your congressional members. They would get together. They would all get one vote, each state. So that means the congressional members and the senators from each state have to come together and decide on the one candidate that they want that didn't get a majority of the votes, because you need a majority of the votes to be elected president. Otherwise, it goes to the Congress. It's just going to be who can coalesce the most people around them. And that's exactly what happens in a parliamentary system, except it would be a little weird because you don't just resign presidencies and then have snap elections and stuff like that. Snap elections are ridiculous, too.
Yikes. I mean, imagine if we're like, oh, we're going to have an election for them next week. Wait, what?
Yeah.
People lose their mind.
And that's exactly how they do it. Snap elections. Boom. You can vote on the new leadership.
Here's a story I've been holding on to. It's from October 14th, according to the New York Post. This is like when woke culture officially is jump the shark. Woman named Ching Chong clears the air over, quote, racist letter. Chill, guys, it's me. This is from the New York Post. A student who took to social media to share her outrage about a racist letter she received was quickly shut down after the truth was revealed. Former University of Queensland student Sierra Chen took to Facebook to express her disgust after a letter sent to her home was addressed to a person named Ms. Ching Chong. The woman, who is of Chinese origin, believed it may have been a malicious act of racism, as the phrase can be used as an ethnic slur to mock people of Chinese and East Asian heritage. Quote, last week, I received mail from UQ Sports with a slur on the envelope, Ching Chong, she wrote. Quote, the content of the letter was quite normal, but Ching Chong is a racial discrimination word against Chinese. Quote, I emailed them to find out the truth. They told me there was a girl called Ching Chong that had left this address. They couldn't give me any more details due to privacy. However, I double-checked with my house manager, and there wasn't anyone called Ching Chong that lived in this house before. If possible, I hope I can contact this girl, and I hope it was just a coincidence. So this went on, and there's concern, which if you are living in an address and you're of a Chinese descent person and your last name is Chen and somebody says it to Ching Chong, I get that. However, quote, as an Australian with a French last name, there is no end to people speaking bad French slurs, a commenter said. While many were incensed about the apparent racist fiasco, the truth was soon revealed. Another former student came forward to assure that she had lived at that address previously, was involved with UQ Sports, and that, in fact, was her real name. Quote, chill, guys, it's me. My birth name is Ching Chong, she explained. My parents named me Ching because it rhymes with my family name Chong and my beautiful Chinese name. I lived at that address in 2017 and was a blues recipient. UQ Sports is not racist. I just have a cool name. That's great. Many were relieved that the entire fiasco was actually not malevolent in nature. Thank you, Sierra Chen, for calling us out, Ching said. I would be super confused, too, if I received a letter at my address with such an interesting name if this wasn't my actual name. Thank you for taking action to check with the house manager and UQ Sports and for trying to find me. I appreciate you. I like how she was like, everybody is like, immediately outraged because we live in we are outraged before we even know that there is a story to be outraged about. We're just waiting for the new outrage to take in. I get it in this climate. If you're, like I said, if your last name was Chen and someone says that, writes something to you and it's to Ching Chong. But the fact that, this is my favorite part about the story, that Ching Chong does actually exist. And she's like, yeah, everybody, check out my super cool name.
I love that too.
It diffuses everything. And it makes you go, we're all cool, right? This is fine. Everything's fine. Can everything be fine?
Well, she probably dealt with that her whole life, and she had to develop the skills to diffuse those situations. And, you know, she loves her name because it's something that her parents gave to her, and it represents her heritage, and it means a lot to her. And it's not the slur that everybody wants it to be to her. And so she comes out there and is like, hey, yeah, my name's super cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
In this New York Post article, it wraps up by saying people in the comment section came together to share their relief. How many people were stressing out about this? And also to open up about their awkward name mishaps that had occurred. This is a quote from one of them. My friend's name is Ichi Wang.
Oh, no.
It's the first thing he ever told me about himself. He loves his interesting name. What a plot twist. I never laughed so hard. It's kind of hard to do something with that.
Yeah.
I mean, good on you for owning your name. And also for, like, the mere suggestion that overt racism wasn't the implication all along. They're not like Ching Chang, when she comes on and she clears the air, she's not like super sensitive to it. She's like, I'm so sorry you got messed up on this. And there's no like racial pile-on about how her name can. It's just like, everybody chill out. There's nothing to be angry about here. We can all count this one as accomplished and completed, and we can move on from it. No issue here. Let's just move forward.
Josh on the chat asked an interesting question. This takes me back to whenever I was a substitute teacher because, you know, there were names and you had to read names and take attendance. He said, Brad, if you would you hesitate calling her name the first time during attendance? The answer is not if it's on the attendance sheet.
Because then you can blame someone else.
The attendance sheet is an official school document, and if that's what they gave me, that's what they gave me. I had a lot of students that I would read their name, and they're like, yes, that's my given name, but I go by this. And so I was like, cool. And then I mark it down on the attendance sheet, and I just read it, just call them that from then on.
And if you had a roster handed to you, that's an interesting way to put it, because you wouldn't want to, like, vocally, you don't want to be the guy in the Walmart page system going, see more butts.
Yeah. Well, and the other
I mean,
part,
maybe you do. I don't know. I don't
listen,
know you. I shouldn't.
And I'm not going to lie. It's not like there wouldn't have been a read Bob Smith.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I would have read her name, but like there would have been a pause there. Like
I would have checked.
Yeah.
I'd go through the list to make sure. Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe not everybody does this. I try to pre-read everything that I have to say out loud, but that's my job, is to make sure that I know how to say things out loud. I don't always do it right. I get that. I'm not perfect at all. But if you were going through that list and you saw that, I think that I would ask a trusted source.
Yeah.
Is
this accurate?
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Say it with confidence.
Yeah.
How many situations do we face as Americans on social media, on Twitter, where your immediate visceral reaction is to be outraged? Isn't it most?
No, not for me.
Well, maybe not from you, but society.
I was society. So. Yeah, we love out. I mean, like,
does Twitter exist without outrage?
That's the default setting on Twitter for sure.
That's what I'm saying.
Like you could say something about baseball, and
you're the stupidest person
somebody's
I've ever met.
ready to fight you over it, and you're like, "Whoa, that's not what I said."
You can fight about anything on Twitter. You can post something that's completely innocuous, and all of a sudden you're like, I don't know how Trump has anything to do with this. I just thought that the puppy was really cute, and I just wanted to share it with people. Oh, man. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, excited to bring Steve Scalise onto the Annie Frey Show once again. We're going to talk to him about the commitment to America. Missouri and Illinois, how do they fit into what needs to be done in order for America to get back on track after the midterm elections? Steve Scalise, he's the House Republican whip, and he joins us when we return. He's the 1st Congressional District Representative from Louisiana. We're excited to have him here. Let's take a quick break. More Annie Frey Show when we return, including that YouTube live chat poll at the end of the show. Do you love somebody whose political affiliation you know is opposite of yours? Yes or no? The response at 2:45. Your votes right now.
Are you or someone you know seeking help for a substance use disorder in Franklin County? Prevent Ed's free peer support service can connect clients with the medication-assisted treatment provider. Our certified peer specialists guide you through the process and ensure transportation to appointments and to pick up medication. Clients can generally be seen by a treatment provider in 24 to 36 hours. Access this free service at 314-246-9788 or at prevented.org/peers.
What's more American than baseball, apple pie, and voting? I'm Missouri Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft. Voting is a right and a responsibility. On Election Day, November 8th, if you're registered, you can vote by showing a valid photo ID or casting a provisional ballot. Before you vote, research the issues and the candidates. Missouri has accessible, secure, accurate elections. Make your voice heard and vote.
Sponsored by Missouri Secretary of State, sos.mo.gov.
Stewart's American Mortgage, the Bagel Loan Guy. You are going to quickly understand why Stewie has served so many people in the St. Louis area, Missouri and Illinois alike. When you reach out to him at 314-324-4440, that's 314-324-4440, you're going to be able to talk to him about your particular situation, how your economy, your savings, your credit card debt, your equity in your house, how it all fits in the best picture for you. And if you're looking at a lot of high interest credit card debt, Stewie can help you get a handle on that. This is a great opportunity to reach out to him and ask him about the Bagel Loan. When you use the Bagel Loan to purchase a home with a new mortgage or to refinance your home, including a cash out refinance, you're going to pay nothing in fees that everybody out there that's doing this and doing it, by quantity, turn and burn as much as possible, they're going to charge you a lot of fees. Stewie doesn't. Reach out to him and ask him about the Bagel Loan. 314-324-4440. You can Google the Bagel Loan to find out more information. NMLS number 226715.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
KFTK FM Florissant.
Driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group.
97.1 FM Talk.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The U.S. calls out Iran. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. It's over what's happening in Ukraine, where Russia has been using Iranian-made drones to attack Ukrainian cities. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby telling reporters the U.S. has evidence Iranian troops have been directly engaged on the ground supporting those drone flights with trainers and tech personnel in Crimea, annexed by Russia in 2014. This as the White House slams Russia's plan to evacuate thousands of civilians from one of the regions more recently claimed by Russia.
It's no surprise to us that the Russians would employ such ham-fisted tactics to try to exert control over a population that is clearly rejecting Putin and his war.
Spokeswoman Karine Jean-Pierre says it's another example of Russia's cruelty. Earlier today, the UK slapping sanctions on several Iranian officials and a company in connection with the drones being used by Russia. Jean-Pierre speaking to reporters on the way to Pennsylvania, where the president went back to the site of a bridge collapse.
President Biden first visited the Fern Hollow Bridge in Pittsburgh the day it collapsed in January. Today, he returned to see work on the new span being built.
And by Christmas, God willing, we'll be walking. I'm coming back to walk over this sucker.
The president says the $1 trillion infrastructure law is accelerating the pace of road and bridge projects across the country.
This is just one of 2,400 bridges across the country. They're being repaired just this year because of this law.
President Biden was greeted by state leaders, including Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman, the Democrat facing Republican Dr. Mehmet Oz in Pennsylvania's Senate race.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. A White House official is denying claims that the El Paso mayor was told to hold off on declaring an emergency over the migrant surge in Texas. The mayor has also denied that claim made by a city council member. America is listening to Fox News.
When cold symptoms keep you up, try Vicks NyQuil Severe for max strength nighttime relief. Just one dose of Vicks NyQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Get some rest and feel better with Vicks NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, sore throat, stuffy nose, fever, best sleep with a cold. Medicine. Use as directed.
It's a new day because COVID vaccines just got a big update. So all the big stuff coming up this fall? Well, now you can say, you bet I'll be there. Because updated COVID vaccines protect against both the original COVID virus and Omicron. And everyone 5 and older can get one. So this is a moment we've all been waiting for.
Find updated COVID vaccines at vaccines.gov. We can do this. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Air Comfort Service, heating and cooling, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Sunshine remains in control across the St. Louis area as we go through our Thursday afternoon, but it's warmer. It's back to where we should be. 68 for the high. Wild temperature ride this week. That's going to continue. Clear skies tonight, 40 degrees. Friday, even warmer. 78 for the high Friday afternoon. Lots of sunshine. Over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, partly to mostly sunny skies. Upper 70s to near 80. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
You had a solid retirement dream. Sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But inflation and recession has you wondering if all your hard-earned equity will still be there. What if you could recession-proof your equity right now? You can with Truehold. Truehold will buy your home for its best current value before a recession can erode it. You get to bank all the cash now and live in your home for as long as you want, and Truehold covers all property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. And since Truehold pays your home's current value in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you like. Don't wait for inflation, recession, and interest rates to erode your home's value. Visit Truehold.com and discover how much Truehold will buy your home for today based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without having to move. That's Truehold.com.
The best conversations happen at the kitchen table. So I'm bringing the table to you.
All around our communities, Ann Wagner is meeting with us and hearing our concerns.
Public servants need to listen to you, not the liberal mob. People care about kitchen table issues, like the skyrocketing prices of groceries and gas. And now Biden has you paying for someone else's college loans. Let's stop their madness.
This year, Biden's inflation is costing your home over $10,000. Ann Wagner has seen the harm it's brought to Missouri families firsthand. She knows you work too hard to have your tax dollars wasted by Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi. That's why Ann has a long record of cutting your taxes and fighting the Democrats' out-of-control spending.
I'm Ann Wagner, and I approve this message to give you a seat at the table.
Common sense conservative, Ann Wagner for Congress. Paid for by Ann Wagner for Congress.
Sell your car the easy way at Bomarito. No matter what kind of vehicle you have or what shape it's in, car, truck, van, or SUV, just go to Bomarito.com. Answer a few questions about your vehicle, and we'll give you an instant real purchase offer. Then we'll come to you, or you come to us, and we'll pay you on the spot. So when you're ready to sell your vehicle, go to Bomarito first. A better experience, a better price, better service. The automotive leader, Bomarito, Missouri's #1 automotive group, open 24/7 at Bomarito.com.
Becco's new dishwashers use 1/3 the energy and half the water of U.S. standards for dishwashers. And from now until December 31st, you can save up to $200 in gift card rebates on eligible models. Visit Becco.com for more details. That's Becco.com.
How might this week's big stories impact your portfolio? Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale with Stifel. Join me and fellow Stifel financial advisor Eric Robert during On the Money every Saturday from 11 till noon right here on 97.1 FM Talk. Stifel, member NYSE and SIPC.
If the media ignores them, then we're talking to them. And we're posting it all as it happens. 97.1 on Twitter and Facebook.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
When you think about politics in the races we're looking at, two that we're going to zero in on today, and two that really very well could decide the fate and control of the United States Senate. Nevada is the first one. So you look at the price in Nevada, $5.18 is the average price at the pump in Nevada, well above that national average. So gas prices are a big story in that race. The second one, it's not as high, but it's just as important, and that is Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, $3.95, so just 10 cents over the national average. But again, it is higher than the average. And in that state, of course, we have the close race going on between John Fetterman and Dr. Oz.
So you hear Connell McShane of Fox News there talking about some of these really close key Senate races. And we have here in Missouri Eric Schmidt, who is looking to replace the retiring Roy Blunt in the state of Missouri for that Senate seat. In Illinois, Tammy Duckworth is up for re-election, and Kathy Salvi is looking to replace her. We've had her on the studio here a couple weeks ago, or I think it was last week. And these are all key issues that people are talking about. Maybe not so much the Illinois and the Missouri Senate races, because those are predetermined to probably go the way that they currently are represented in the Senate. But that House of Representatives, the sway of moving from a Nancy Pelosi, a Speaker Nancy Pelosi, into a potential maybe Speaker McCarthy, and the commitment to America has the potential to have a drastic impact on how this country is run, especially the power of the purse, which resides in the House of Representatives. That's why we welcome to the show Representative Steve Scalise. He's the House Republican whip. He is the representative from Louisiana's 1st Congressional District, and he's here with us on the Annie Frey Show right now. Congressman, thank you so much for the time today. It's truly an honor to speak with you.
Hey, Annie, it's great to be with you. I appreciate you having me on your show.
So, we're grateful for your time, and I want to talk about Missouri and Illinois and the balance of power in the House of Representatives. But while people mention red waves and how big could it get, the majority is important in the House for a few specific reasons. And I wanted to give you the opportunity to tell us what your priorities are should the Republicans be given that majority by the American voters.
Yeah, Annie, our top priority is to address the economy, all the higher costs of everything when families go to the grocery store, when they go to the gas station to fill up their car. Prices are through the roof because Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi spent trillions of dollars on all these far-left wish list items of theirs, and it's hurting hardworking families in Illinois, Missouri, all across the country. And so that's going to be the first thing we work on, is to finally start reining in the spending and dealing with inflation and the cost of things. Energy security, securing the border is going to be really important. but also addressing crime in communities because, you can see it in big cities like St. Louis, even Springfield. All around the country, you're seeing crime out of control because Democrats like Biden and Pelosi embrace that defund the police movement, now the cashless bail movement that's going across a lot of these big cities where they're letting criminals out. Crime gets even worse, and it's really creating a national security risk in every community.
We're speaking with Congressman Steve Scalise here on the Annie Frey Show. When I think about what the Democrats are pushing as issues and policies, not so much the normal political attacks that come from both sides of the aisle, the one issue I hear them talking about is abortion, but that's what they're talking about doing in the future. There is not really any Democrat that I can think of on the national scale or even here locally in the bi-state region that is really talking and championing their record on these issues. Have you noticed that across the country and what you're paying attention to?
Yeah, and it's like they want to avoid the main issues that families are talking about, and that's the kitchen table issues, the high cost of everything everywhere I go. And, I've been all around the country. I was on the West Coast. I was in the Midwest this week, on the East Coast just this morning, in helping candidates all across the country. And our candidates from Reagan Deering all the way across are talking about reducing inflation, lowering the cost of things, becoming energy independent again so we don't have to pay through the roof for filling up our car or even our home heating bill during the winter. And the Democrats won't talk about any of it because they created these problems. And so they talk about abortion and Trump and things that have nothing to do with the problems facing families. And that's, I think, why their disconnect is going to cost them at the polls. I think people are fed up with all the far left socialism. They want to fire Nancy Pelosi and finally bring some common sense conservative values back to Washington. And that's what we laid out in the Commitment to America, as you opened up with. And that's a bold conservative vision to get our country back on track, to address the problems that are facing hardworking families that the Democrats created. Let's go and start confronting those problems with people like Reagan Deering.
You were speaking with House Republican Whip, Congressman Steve Scalise, and I'm so glad that you brought up Reagan Deering because if she were to be elected as the representative for Illinois' 13th district, that's the district that I live in. I'm keenly aware of what's going on, how the Illinois Democrats do what they do, which is draw this little snake that goes through all the college towns in the central Illinois to try to make it a cater to a Democrat relocated candidate in Nikki Budzinski. This is a Joe Biden candidate. This is a J.B. Pritzker candidate in Reagan Deering's in the district she's looking to represent. In my district, how are Americans supposed to look at a candidate that's running in a hand-drawn district for a Joe Biden, J.B. Pritzker plant? I mean, what could that person possibly have to offer the people of the Illinois 13?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that Nikki has to offer. I mean, having a Chicago machine far left socialist representing Southern Illinois is not the kind of values. Look, I served with John Shimkus and roomed with him for many years in Congress. And, you talk about a bold conservative leader, somebody who really understood how to get things done. I think that's what the people of Southern Illinois have been used to and would expect. And that's the kind of model, if you think about Reagan Deering's approach to solving big problems, it's more rooted in those conservative values, not the Chicago, big heavy hand of government approach that has gotten us into this mess. And again, I'd go back to crime. Would you really want to bring the Chicago crime problems to the rest of the country, including Southern Illinois? I don't think so.
No, absolutely not. Steve Scalise speaking with us right now. That district was, I think at first it was supposed to be +7, a D+7. I've seen it be written in as a D+3 and as a toss-up. In this election cycle, we are, 19 days away from, I think. In this election cycle, does this have a real honest possibility to go red?
Annie, this is a district that's right in that sweet spot of seats that are on the border of becoming Republican because people are revolting against this whole big far-left socialist movement that you've seen from Biden and Pelosi and anyone who's going to vote with that agenda. People are fed up with it. And so when you look at Reagan Deering's message, it's more focused on those small-town values, the kind of fiscally responsible values, getting an economy that's strong, allowing parents to be involved in their kids' education. I mean, we saw this during COVID where the the union bosses sided with the Biden administration to shut down schools and hurt millions of kids. They took your money, but they didn't want to educate your kids. Shouldn't parents be involved in their kids' education? And if you go to a school board meeting, they're trying to call you a domestic terrorist. People are fed up with that far left approach to government. And so that's the kind of stuff why you're seeing districts like this that the Democrats in Illinois thought they were sneaking around and fooling the people and snaking the district to create another Democrat district. I think this is going to become a Republican district, and it's going to open their eyes up.
I'm excited to see what happens. I know that I support Regan Deering myself. I hope people listening to the show will definitely look into her candidacy and do what they can, not just to vote for her, but to support her right now while we still have some time left before the election sets in. Congressman Scalise, you're the House Republican whip. You have worked with many of the people who are in Congress right now, and I've seen the commitment to America. I've seen the bullet points of it. I've read through it. I'm curious what you see a Republican majority working towards on day one. What are the top level priorities for a Republican majority in the House of Representatives?
Day one, we're going to get our committees meeting and working on bills to address inflation, to lower gas prices. We're also, by the way, and you saw this just a few weeks ago, Joe Biden signed what they called the Inflation Reduction Act. I think everybody laughed and rolled their eyes because they know $730 billion in new taxes is only going to make inflation worse. But in that bill, they doubled the size of the IRS. I mean, imagine adding another 87,000 IRS agents to go after small business owners and single moms working two jobs. Day one, we're going to bring a bill to repeal those 87,000 IRS agents. Frankly, if we need 87,000 government workers anywhere, it's at the border, securing the border and stopping all the drugs, the fentanyl that's coming across our border that killed over 100,000 young people last year. That's where we should be focused. The Biden administration doesn't care about that. They open the border. They say it's secure. Everybody knows that that's just a lie. So let's address those things that are really hurting low-income families, hardworking families who are struggling. Day one, we will start doing that.
Last question for you, Congressman Scalise. I'm a mother of four. My oldest is 12. My youngest is 16 months. And we did the, educate from home thing. We did the Zoom class. I send my kids to a parochial school so that first and foremost, they can learn about Jesus. But that's always been a priority for me and my family. It's not everybody's priority. I was very grateful that they chose to go back into school sooner than the public school system did in the state of Illinois. And I'm curious, Congressman, when you look at what has been done through COVID and how so many rights were taken away from people and so many mandates were put on American citizens, I'm wondering if the Republican Party is going to be the party to restore those liberties for people who are my age. I'm a millennial. I'm pushing 40. Like I said, 4 kids, 2-income home, working really hard to make ends meet for my family. I'm probably an age group where a lot of my fellow voters that are out there that are my age and their circumstances might be considering for the first time to cross over, because the party that used to be the liberal party that wanted the government to stop telling them what to do all the time, it just doesn't seem to be the Democrats so much anymore.
Yeah, and I think people saw when the veil was lifted during COVID, and you saw all these far-left governors working overtime to limit your freedoms, and then you watched other governors, you looked at DeSantis in Florida, and you looked at Abbott in Texas, saying we're going to open up our states. We're going to get the schools back open, get kids back in the classroom learning. And then I think a lot of people realize, wait a minute, it really does matter who is leading. Some leaders actually get it and believe in my individual freedom and care about my kids. And some leaders just care about power and want to shut down my ability to be involved in my kids' education. And they started going to school board meetings. And like I said, immediately the Biden Justice Department tried to call them domestic terrorists because the unions were scared to death at the thought of working moms like you actually taking an interest in what the curriculum is at your school. So we have a bill called the Parents' Bill of Rights. It's going to be one of the first bills we bring up that ensures that parents can have a direct involvement in their kids' education, see the curriculum. I'm a school choice guy. I want people to be able to go to the school of their choice. If your local school district wants to take your money and not educate your kid, shouldn't you be able to go down the street to a school that wants to educate your kid? And it shouldn't just be wealthy parents or, 2-parent incomes. Every parent should have that option. And I think more parents are recognizing it. That's why it's not just Republicans. You're seeing a lot of independents and Democrats crossing over to vote Republican this cycle because people like Reagan Deering are running on that message of empowering people again. And during COVID, they saw how important it is to have government that's either going to be taking away your freedoms or empowering you to live your life.
Yeah. And if folks are listening right now on the Missouri side or not in the Illinois 13, it's important to understand how valuable each of these seats that we can solidify as red, keep red, or flip to red. I mean, that majority, the bigger the majority, the more success you are going to be able to have, I assume, Congressman Scalise, in getting that commitment to America come to actual fruition.
Yeah, look, I mean, if you want Nancy Pelosi to continue running this far-left socialist agenda, Pritzker's given you a candidate. But if you want to actually take power out of Washington and bring it back to your community, vote for Reagan Deering. I think you're going to see a lot of candidates like her win in districts that Democrats thought were theirs. These aren't their districts. These are the people's districts. And I think the people are going to be working to take their government back on November 8th. It's just 19 days away. And it's so important that people vote, that they tell their friends what is at stake in this election. And I appreciate that you're getting that message out, too, because I think a lot more people are listening than Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi realize.
Well, Congressman Scalise, thank you so much for your time today. We are hoping that Illinois 13 shows up in force and that you get to spend a lot more time with Reagan Deering very soon. Thank you for your time today.
Looking forward to it. Thanks for having me, Annie.
Yeah, absolutely. Bye-bye. Representative Steve Scalise from the 1st Congressional District in Louisiana, New Orleans. He's also the House Republican Whip. And a thank you to Congressman Shimkus for helping us set up that interview. Let's take a quick break. The 13th, the Illinois 13 is going to be an indicator as to how other things are going to go that night. And, I would add, we'll be on Central Time. Obviously, the results for us will be coming in after we get some East Coast heads up on election night. But you guys, if you are interested in what's going on when the results start coming in on election night, you've got to do two things. Turn 97.1 on your radio or on your Odyssey app and tune into the Annie Frey live stream. Have you subscribed to the Annie Frey YouTube channel yet? We are 113 people away from 4,000 subscribers. I'd really like to get there. If you haven't subscribed, just go to the YouTube and type in Annie Frey. You'll find us, youtube.com/@AnnieFrey, and subscribe. See if we can get to 4,000 sooner than later. When we come back, let's talk about that. Here in the room with Ryan and Brad and myself, do you love somebody whose political affiliation is opposite of yours? Yes or no? That's our YouTube live chat poll, and we'll discuss in a minute. Don't go away.
I can't stand it.
22 years old and looking good. This is St. Louis's home for conservative talk. 97.1 FM Talk.
There was a time, oh woman, when you used to shake it for me. But now, all you do is just treat me cold. Ain't gonna take it no more. Gonna walk out the door. Lover.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
97.1 is your place for full Decision 2022 coverage.
Decision 2022.
Sponsored by Air Comfort Service and TR Hughes Homes on 97.1 FM Talk.
It's funny that I know that I'm here to endorse Jen Teskey and to talk to you about how great she is at selling your home. But when I meet people who know Jen Teskey, they're like, I know, she's the best. Jen Teskey is with RE/MAX Alliance, and she is the destination for folks in Illinois who want to buy or sell their home. She knows what she's doing. She's got the lay of the land, and she's got that big sister treatment attitude that's going to walk you through the whole process, front to back, start to finish. She has honesty, integrity, transparency, is going to make sure that she helps you go through this process for what's best for you and your family. She's capable, and she is the proven track record to make sure that when she earns your business, you will be telling people, Jen Teskey, right? She's the best. Reach out to her by calling or texting this number right now, whether you're looking to buy or sell right now, or you see it in the future, 6 months down the road, maybe a year. You want to know how is the best way to position my house to sell. She can help walk you through the whole process and would love to take your call. 618-541-1010. That's 618-541-1010. Reach out to Jen Teskey, a realtor with RE/MAX Alliance, and get the process started today. The discussion started today. You will not regret it. 618-541-1010.
What's up, everybody? Guess who's hosting a new podcast? No Mercy with Stephen A. Smith. Listen as I pull back the curtain on everything beyond the world of sports, interviewing influential guests, outspoken celebrities, and thought leaders across the political, financial, and social spectrum. You know me, I'll give you my unbiased opinion. A No Mercy episode drops every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. No Mercy with Stephen A. Smith, a presentation of Cadence 13 and Odyssey Studio, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you listen to your podcast.
Don't miss Abby Johnson's Message of Life in St. Charles on Thursday, October 27th, when she keynotes Vitae Foundation's annual pro-life event. Abby's dramatic conversion from abortion clinic director to outspoken pro-life advocate has captured the hearts of many through her book and movie adaptation, Unplanned. That's October 27th at the St. Charles Convention Center. Reserve your seat today by going to adsforlife.org. That's adsforlife.org.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ziprecruiter.com/free. That's ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Pineview Medical Clinic. Is erectile dysfunction damaging your relationship? Are you sick of the pill and all the side effects? Well, welcome to the future. We have a major medical breakthrough. Pineview Medical Clinic uses the most advanced form of wave therapy. Backed by 60 clinical studies, our technology uses pressure waves to repair and open up blood vessels. We've helped countless men get rid of their ED, but what is the true end result? Their relationship, even their lives, improve drastically. If you're ready to regain your love life, call us right now, and not only will the assessment and ultrasound be free, we'll also give you a gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. It almost never fails. This is worth $550, and it's free to callers right now. 314-530-7777. That's 314-530-7777. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and experience what I call the happiness ripple effect. Call Pineview Medical Clinic now. 314-530-7777.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules. The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
This is another one of those songs that reaches back into my youth and brings me back.
It brings out emotions, doesn't it?
Man, if you were in your car, you're by yourself, there's no way you're not rocking out the chorus.
You know what? Zombie, though, Cranberries had a couple other ones that almost
Dreams.
at this point, Dreams is one of them.
I love that song.
I don't think that song charted as well as Zombie.
Really?
But
I would
it
have thought Dream
has
is
endured longer than Zombie.
it Dream or Dreams?
Dreams.
I think that's
And Linger.
one of my favorites. Yeah. It's still the same Cranberries.
Yeah.
It's almost yodely.
Oh yeah, she absolutely does that in a way that nobody could. You would never pick somebody. Hey, you have kind of a voice that kind of goes all over the place. You want to be the lead singer of a band and makes historic music, especially rock music in the 90s.
So good. Here we go. Do it.
No, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna let her do it.
No,
she's too good at it.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, you can turn it down. There's nobody who knows, like, was alive and well in the 90s who hears this song and isn't belting that out like they are the lead singer of Cranberries when they're alone in their car.
Does it depress you to know that song is fully some sort of political protest?
I don't like to know the meanings of songs.
I don't either a lot of times.
But no, it doesn't depress me. And the reason I don't like to is because it's never like, I am so for that cause.
I don't even know. It's something probably regarding Northern Ireland and whatever. I have no idea.
I found out that all the Goo Goo Dolls were all about drugs. And I was like,
oh, I didn't know that.
I don't even know that I believe it. I just refuse to believe it. But the Black Balloon, Baby's Black Balloon, makes her fly.
Don't know that song.
It sounds like all of the other Goo Goo Dolls songs.
Oh.
No, Black Balloon, Goo Goo Dolls.
No, I really don't know that song.
Oh, that's so tragic. You a Goo Goo Dolls fan?
No.
What's the matter with you?
Lots.
The only song from the 90s,
I love the Goo Goo Dolls.
maybe ever, that I've heard the meaning of that I thought, actually, that puts that song in a different perspective.
Live.
Wait, what?
Go ahead.
I want to hear what you're saying.
No, you go first.
Closing Time. Do you know that song?
Yeah.
I mean, you know the song. Do you know what it's about?
Turn on off the lights.
Every girl, closing time.
Is it about getting married?
No, but you're on the right track.
What?
It's about having a baby. It's about the baby coming out and it being like closing time for you to leave. Baby coming out now.
No.
I kid you not. That's what that's about.
Man, that has the feel of one of those like deep internet theories.
No. Look it up. The singer of the song explains
That's
it.
not Semi-Sonic, is it?
Where should I look it up, Ryan?
On the internet.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead on whatever search engine you
Lightning crashes. Live.
Oh, that one is about losing a mother in childbirth? Am I right?
It's about childbirth. I don't know. But it's a very, like, you listen, like, you could sing it, and then all of a sudden you're like, what am I singing about? What are we talking about here?
That one doesn't count to me because I think I knew that when it came out.
It's just really
It's not a happy
impactful.
song. Live. What a terrible name for a band. That's the worst band. You got to choose something that you can search. You can't search live songs.
Isn't it live exclamation point?
I don't
Like
know.
Gutfeld?
Well, Gutfeld. See, you don't need the
I
exclamation
always feel
exclamation point.
compelled to put an exclamation point after Tyrus's name. He was on today. We talked to him at 1:05 about men in women's sports and among other things, and about the Joe Biden "Don't date any serious men till you're 30" comment. That was a really interesting conversation. On the Odyssey app, you can rewind to 105 if you want to hear that, or just check the Annie Frey Show podcast. But Gutfeld has the exclamation point, and like Gutfeld can't have an exclamation point after his name because he really thought it was cool. That has to be like an inverted joke about himself.
I have a theory about this.
Mm-hmm.
I really regret. There was this one question I wanted to ask Tyrus while he was here, but it was so fast paced, I didn't get a chance. I have a theory that the Gutfeld logo is fashioned as a parody of Garfield. I think they look similar enough that somebody said, I'm going to make this look like Garfield because it's Gutfeld. But I have no proof, and I really want to know if
paid
there's...
real money to watch you say that just like that to Tyrus. I think at the end he goes, no.
Or he blows your mind and he's like,
I don't know that it would blow my mind.
Scenes. We talk about this all the time, Ryan. I'm so glad you pointed it out.
I know. I don't remember where. Maybe it was at the Tyrus event. Did he talk about how Gutfeld specifically didn't want like the red, white, and blue colors on his show? He wanted.
Yeah, I remember him saying
that.
At the
live
I don't remember
event?
if it was here or there, but he did say that.
But he did specify that he was particular about not wanting it to be the standard issue because it's kind of like an orange and a maroonish color, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. With
Kinda
an
like
exclamation
Garfield.
point.
Kind of like Garfield.
Does he own that color scheme?
I don't know. John Davis.
The only two times that those color schemes have ever been in the same place at the same time, obviously Garfield and Gutfeld. I'll DM Tyrus and ask him.
Tell him we had a whole conversation about it and that there's a lot of money on it.
I mean, he will respond to me in a simple one-word no answer, and I'm not gonna make him read 3 paragraphs in order to get to your theory.
Hey, it doesn't matter. However you want to phrase.
I message him and say, does the Gutfeld logo have any connection or purposeful resemblance to the Garfield logo?
I think as we've discussed it, if we're putting that on the ballot, that is proper wording, and I will accept that.
Okay. The Secretary of the State of the Annie Frey Show has spoken. The YouTube live chat poll, which you can go to youtube.com/@AnnieFry. That's kind of a new thing that we have that specific URL, youtube.com/@AnnieFry. We are 106 subscribers now, away from 4,000. We just added 5 or 6 here over the break. That's cool. The YouTube live chat poll, which is in the, you guessed it, live chat portion of our live video today. Do you love somebody whose political affiliation you know is opposite of yours? Yes or no? Ryan, I'll ask you first. What are your thoughts on this poll?
Absolutely. Excuse me. I have both friends and family that
An unequivocal, maybe.
And you know what's? I think there's family you're born with, right? You have your family. You can't change your family, so you have to love your family no matter what. The friends to me is very interesting because the friends, you can choose your friends, and I still have friends that are very leftist. And maybe because you guys are making fun of me, because of the industry that I was in, because a lot of people in film and TV are leftist, I couldn't get away from it, so I had to just embrace it. But I am really good friends with those people, and I'm glad that we are, and I'm glad that they have a Republican friend, because a lot of them, if they live in kind of a bubble in the cities, some of them, they don't really have anybody to push back on any of their ideas, and I think they actually appreciated that about me. So yes, across the board.
Are you saying that there are people who love you because you have a different feeling than because that is the opposite of what the question
is people love me so much because of that.
Ryan,
yes, Annie.
You're saying you love people.
Yeah, I do.
And you're both aware the politics do not align. You cancel each other out at the ballot box.
Absolutely.
And you still love them.
Yeah. And in family, it's different because a lot of times we just don't talk about it with family.
But you know.
But we know. And certainly working here, they know where I stand on a lot of things. With friends, we absolutely do have those discussions, and I think we walk away better friends for them a lot of times.
So you would say you're a yes on this poll?
Yes.
Brad?
Scooter's going to lose his ever-loving mind on this.
Oh.
So whenever I read this question, it says, do you love somebody whose political affiliations you know is opposite of yours, yes or no? I have to answer that as no, because I don't know the political affiliations of my family and loved ones. I mean, I know some of them, but I don't know all of them. Because whenever we get together, whenever we do things, we're together hanging out, doing family things. So usually at Christmas or Thanksgiving, you know what we're talking about? It ain't politics. It's about what's been going on in your life. What are you guys up to? How are the kids?
That's rare but good.
Yeah, that's what we're concerned about. And so do I know the political leanings of my family? Not all of them. And so is it possible that I love somebody that has different ones? I would say it's almost certain that I do, but I don't know it. And so I have to answer no, I don't.
So then you must not be the type of person who brings politics up.
I never am the one that brings it up. But if it's brought up, I shall partake.
I will win. I mean, I really do believe Brad in this, Ryan, because he had an uncle who told him like months after he was living here, you're the Brad on the Annie Frey show.
Really? You live here?
Yeah, I live here.
That's great.
And work here.
That's amazing.
It's part of the gig.
It was
shelter.
Pretty hilarious because it was two great things happened.
Mm-hmm.
We found out one guy knows that there's a Brad on the Annie Frey show and listens all the time. And secondly, Uncle found out that his nephew was part of the thing that he listens to every day.
If somebody brings up politics to you that you don't know that well, somebody who just talks about whatever, they just go all over the board and they talk about politics. Do you engage that person? Absolutely. Or If you're somewhere and it's not somebody you know very well, you're just in a social gathering and somebody brings up politics, are you going to engage no matter what?
You're asking me specifically.
I'm asking both of you.
Absolutely not.
I don't either.
No, I would say nothing, and if they press the issue, I would say if it's a social gathering and this person is not going to be in my life again, or if I'm at a social gathering because I'm friends with or related to the groom and they're friends with and related to the bride, there is nothing for me to win by winning that argument. Not at all. I actually am more amused at the fact that they might spew some political things to me that I think are ridiculous, and later on they find out that I have a conservative talk show and didn't say a thing. I'm not going there.
I am the opposite.
You're going to take the bait.
I'm going
He's trying to wreck the family.
Yes.
Home wrecker.
Like I said, if it's brought up, I shall partake. I usually give the person an out. I'm like, don't ask that question if you aren't ready for an answer.
Okay, good for you. I'll do the same thing if it gets to that
You
point.
warn him, like you're about to start something you're going to lose,
Yeah.
and you should stop right now.
Listen, I know a lot about this topic. I'm just warning you.
You need to get it printed on a business card.
Here, I didn't say a thing, but you read it, right? Yeah, no, I had a roommate, this isn't that recently, but when I was maybe 19, 20 years old, I had a roommate who, and I would take the bait every single time. He was so far left, and he would throw chum in the water just to get an argument going, and it was like sport. It was the only thing he did.
There's never going to be
I've had to back away.
There's never going to be an instance where somebody like that, where you're going to win. Because
exactly.
the goalposts get moved all the time. Nobody who is salivating that much for a political argument is interested in what you think about something.
No.
At all.
No.
So just don't even go there. And I mean, you probably I know you both have experienced this. I definitely experience it. I can be at any type of gathering, anywhere, for any purpose. And if people know what I do and they are of like mind, they do the casual like slide over and they're like, so what do you think is going to happen in the midterms? And I'm like, hold on a second. I have to call this volleyball play. Just a second. You know, I mean, it happens to me all the time. I love getting to know these people who listen and who respect what I think and may not have other people in their life that they can approach and have that discussion
Sure.
with. I get it. It happens frequently. I do have several people in my life who are of the opposite side of the aisle, and they will talk to me about it. They'll bring it up. They'll text message me about it as something. Like if Donald Trump is in the news, I find out from these people before Fox News alerts my phone. Because MSNBC is a little bit quicker on the Trump just did this news alert, apparently. And I'm always like, I don't care. I mean, I'm literally like, I don't really care. Or how are your kids? Or how are you feeling these days? We should get together and hang out. And, you know, like, okay, you said what you needed to say. If it felt good to come to me and to get that off your chest, I'm glad that we're friends or family this way. But I don't care. Like, my relationship with you is way more important to me than our impossibility of coming together on an issue or on a majority of the issues. I just like you way more than I like politics.
Mm-hmm.
So forget about all of that. My answer to this question is absolutely yes. Do you love somebody whose political affiliation you know is opposite of yours? Yes. And I would even add to this, I love people whose political affiliation is the opposite of me who do not love me back.
Yeah, you have to. That's what it is. Right? Love is not necessarily reciprocal. You got to just do it.
It's really sad too, but I'm not. I would. It's one of the saddest consequences or collateral damage of what I do is that I don't get to have these political thoughts. I don't share this stuff on my personal social media, which is like really small. Most of my stuff is public. And obviously I have a thought and opinion. And if people care, I always wonder, do these people who have vocally in my life, friends or family who have vocally disparaged me to my face or publicly on social media, do they listen all the time? Are they listening right now? Maybe. If so, I wish that this wasn't a wedge between us because it is important for me. And I try to bring this issue up as much as I can, that people are more important than politics. And if we would actually, on both sides of the aisle, start prioritizing people, we might actually fix our politics. Let's take a quick break. Get your votes in on the YouTube live chat poll, and we'll get the results. Not from Hannah, because she took the day off. She's off again tomorrow. I'll give you the results when we come back and read some of your thoughts and comments. And how close are we to 4,000? Are we? Yep, 104. Nope. 102 subscribers left. Maybe we get to 100 by the end of the show.
Be one of the two.
15 minutes. 102 left. Stick around. We'll be right back with the results of the poll in just a second.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Must be mistaken. It's the same old team since 1916. In your head, they're still fighting.
The Mark Reardon Show.
United States Senator Roy Blunt.
2 years ago today, we were an energy exporting country. Now we're dependent on going to Saudi Arabia and other places.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
So Michael's Flooring Outlet, a long-time trustworthy partner of the Annie Frey Show. When you are shopping for flooring and you want to go support somebody who supports what we do, but also who obviously gives you amazing quality products, the Mohawk Smart Strand line, the Techwood line, making sure that you are achieving exactly what it is that you're looking for at a great value. Their customer service staff, they guide you through this process to give you confidence that the investment you're making with your hard-earned dollar is going to go to a transformation in your home, in your place of business, maybe at your church or a place you volunteer, with a great, great product that you're going to want to recommend to people. They can accommodate all sorts of different types of needs. If you're looking for something that's going to handle spills or maybe pets and the messes that they bring, or if you're looking for something that's hypoallergenic, they can guide you through this whole process. Will you give Michael's Flooring Outlet the opportunity to earn your business? Multiple locations across the St. Louis area. You can shop all of it online, including learning how to get an estimate and checking out their products by visiting igotfloored.com.
Hi, this is Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw, Tom's nephew. As a family business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. What if it were possible to protect you from market downturns without having to make an emotional decision to buy or sell? What if you could take advantage of a strategy that would automatically take you out of harm's way during the bad years and position you for the growth opportunity during the good years?
The secret is in linking safely to the market without putting your principal at risk. By linking to the market instead of owning the market, you can participate safely on autopilot and lock in your gains without creating a taxable event. Go online at retirementkey.com for a no-obligation retirement review. Learn the strategies that have helped our clients retire with confidence for the past 36 years. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. So go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
The only person who can change your life is you, but you need to know how. Listen to my show, The Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins.
Listen to The Del Walmsley Radio Show this Saturday afternoon from 1 to 2 p.m. on 97.1 FM Talk.
Are you tired of feeling sick and tired? I'm Dr. Nick Barnes of Health From Within Family Chiropractic. Our simple 5-step approach aligns your health naturally. We correct spinal abnormalities to maximize nerve supply, focus on pure and simple nutrition, exercise and oxygen, mindset, and minimizing toxins in your body. Transform your health today with Health From Within, conveniently located on Manchester in Rock Hill or online at healthfromwithinstl.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studios. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 53 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
I get up, I get down, and I'm jumping around, and the rumpus and ruckus so comfortable now. Been a hell of a ride.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
In my fridge, still I'm not feeling grown. Been a hell of a ride, but I'm thinking it's time to go.
Here we go.
So put your best face on.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. We're very happy that you're here. I posted up on the YouTube Live the counter. I have a live counter that shows how many subscribers we had. We started at like 3870 something today, and we ticked up and up and up and up. So I was like, I'll put the counter up there and see how we can get to the end of the show. And some of you fools are out there unsubscribing and resubscribing. So we're going from $38.99 to $39.00 and back to $38.99. So yeah, it works in real time. But maybe just subscribe and stay there.
I love it. Somebody's having a really good time.
We are now.
Well, now we are too.
The YouTube live chat poll for today. Do you love somebody whose political affiliation you know is the opposite of yours? Yes or no? We just went around the room. Ryan, your response to that?
It was absolutely yes.
Absolutely yes. Brad?
Mine was no.
Because?
I don't know the political leanings of all my family.
And you don't know anybody in your family who's a Democrat?
No.
Do you know anyone in your family who's a Republican?
Mm-hmm.
But somebody in your family might be a Democrat. You just don't know.
Yeah. And I don't know that anybody in my family is a Republican per se. They're just conservative in their views.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's talk about some of the comments. I can give you the results right now. 73% at this point say yes, they do love somebody who has a political affiliation that they know is opposite of theirs. 27% say no. And we can get to some of the comments that we've started here. Dirk says, voted yes on the poll. There is so much more to life than politics. Don't just treat others as you want to be treated, but also love them as you want to be loved. Amy says, a dear friend of mine is a Dem, and it's really hard not to look at her differently sometimes. That goes both ways.
Sure it does.
And it's interesting that Amy, a regular commenter here, a good follower of the Annie Frey Show online, I know she's a strong conservative, and I believe I've met Amy. And if you have somebody in your life who has values that line up politically the opposite of you, it can be kind of hard to reconcile those, especially if they're like passion issues. Abortion would be one of them. Maybe if you're a union laborer, that might be one of them for you. Education, all these healthcare, all these sorts of things can really make a strong impact on who you are as a person. Is the solution to that to just agree to not talk about it? Like, you're not going to agree on this issue. You're not going to change each other's minds to just make it an off the table issue.
It can be. It depends on the relationship. It depends on the person, because there are people that you actually can discuss those things with and have a fine time doing it and really learn from each other, because there are people that I enjoy talking to who will sharpen me on issues in ways that I wouldn't get otherwise.
But Brad, don't you think that there are people, like if Amy's talking about this Democrat friend, this Democrat's not going to talk to Amy and change her perspective on things. And I would assume that she's talking about somebody who she's not going to talk to and change their view on things. Is it important to learn how to shelf it, or do you just keep trying?
I think part of it is learning how to shelf it, because you do have to know whenever to shake the dust off your feet and move on, because sometimes the conversation... Now, to Ryan's point, there are certain people out there, and I'm one of them, that I would love to talk to you and debate and do all that stuff, because to me, debate is fun. However, there are some people out there that do not like it, and so you have to learn how to shelf it if you want to maintain the relationship. You have to be able to go, you know what, we're not going to get anywhere on this. I'm not going to change your mind. You're not going to change mine. There's not an audience around us whose mind we can change.
And I like you more than being right.
And I would rather just hang out with you.
Yeah.
And let's talk about something that we do like. So how about them Cardinals?
Mm-hmm. Why do you mean like that? TJ says, I'm married to a Democrat. I'm a conservative. I think it would be really hard to be married to somebody who is politically opposed to you now. I think that was probably serviceable 10 years ago.
I was going to say the same thing. In the past, it probably was doable. I don't know now.
FR says, my wife is way progressive, not just left, but like progressive.
That's so interesting to me.
Chris says, my wife. I'm a law enforcement officer with strong conservative values, and my wife of 5 years is a teacher with strong liberal values. Love is blind. And Chris, I bet you are quiet. Just kidding, kind of. Bob, to you, says, I voted yes in this poll. Son and daughter both got woke indoctrination in public high school after K-8 Lutheran school. Biggest regret, not sending them to Catholic high school we could not afford. Oh, man, you're speaking to me right now, because my son's in 7th grade. We're starting to think about high school. It's expensive. It's very expensive. And we're talking about paying for school from basically the first day they go to preschool through high school, and then potentially through college, and going 4 kids. Man, I knew what was coming. But to hear that that's a regret, that they didn't invest in that and wish they would have figured out a way, that's an important testimony to me. Brad says, I voted yes because I love a Christian brother at my church who is a diehard liberal. Good for you. Tanker says, I voted yes because before my dad passed, he was a super hippie lib, so we avoided politics. That's important because you want to be able to preserve that relationship. I just wonder about how many of these super hippie libs, like I know people hate the phrase, you OG hippie libs. Is this really what you were fighting for? I don't know. Joe says, I voted yes on the poll. Loving others, which is big and complex, has to be the primary thing for all of us. Did you want to say something?
Just the generational thing. I think there are so many people now that if you did get into a respectful conversation with them about issues, find out actually you have a lot more in common.
Oh, so much more.
But people have just picked their side, and they don't necessarily know why.
Joe also says, I married someone whom I didn't see eye to eye on politically. Love requires patience and humility. That is for sure. Night Saver said, my aunt dumped her years-long boyfriend when she found out he voted for Trump in 2020. She said she cannot get rid of me because we're family.
Oh, man.
Yikes.
Man.
Can you imagine? Well, no, I mean, I can. I've had it happen to me. I just think that my situation's a little more unique than just like an average relationship out there just going down the toilet because you supported somebody. I mean, that's how strong the connection to Donald Trump is for people. That is an absolute million, probably $billion industry to make your connection to Donald Trump, whether you support him for anything or whether you hate him for everything, to make that a commodity that can be traded in a political climate where billions of dollars are spent. It's kind of sad, actually, on both sides of the issue, I would say. Thank you for listening to us today. Thank you to Congressman Steve Scalise for being with us at the top of the 2 o'clock hour. You can check out his interview, Tyrus's interview, and Hans von Spakovsky's interview on our podcast, or just hit the rewind on the Odyssey app. Keep it here. The Mark Reardon Show is next.
Why do I like being a jewelry consultant at Shane Company? It's fun.